What is going on, New York Giants fans? My New York Giants family. We got episode 5 of the Big Blue Topic. I'm actually really excited that we made it to episode 5, and we're gonna have a bunch of more episodes coming out. As usual, I got my man Rodney. I got my man Charlie over here, GOS. How y'all boys doing? What's good, chat? We got some people in here, but how y'all doing, man?
I'm doing lovely, man. I'm doing lovely, man. Nice, beautiful day up here. Can't complain.
I'm,
Shit,
I'm
I
ready.
wish
I'm
I
ready
could
for
say
them.
so.
Wild Tyrod Taylor starting out the season takes here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, nah, and you know what? I definitely have seen some crazy comments, especially on Twitter in regards to Tyrod
Yeah,
Taylor.
nah, and you know what?
Um,
I
and
definitely
for me, man, it's we're definitely gonna talk about it, man. But before anything, you guys can find GOS's link to his channel in the description. Same with the Big Blue Corner. They make great New York Giants content. You guys can find them there. I'm also going to be dropping down the links as well in the chat, so you guys can follow them there. But let's get started into this video, man. So we have some signings that we've had, since free agency started. And we had some signings a little bit beforehand as well. As you guys know, we signed first offensive lineman Matt Gano. From there, we signed wide receiver Robert Foster. Then we signed CJ Board, who's a nice special teams ace for us. Probably our biggest signing, in my opinion, was former Indianapolis Colt Mark Lewinsky. We signed him to a 3-year, $20 million deal. We also agreed to terms with offensive lineman Joe Feliciano, former Buffalo Bill. We re signed cornerback Jaron Williams. And lastly, we agreed to terms with long snapper Casey Kreider. So, we've had quite a bit of low under the radar signings, and I guess one big splash signing with Mark Lewinsky. But I really wanted to get your guys' thoughts, man. I mean, what would you say would be your favorite signing so far, if you could choose one?
Oh, you want to take that JOS first?
Yeah, sure. I guess so. I normally like you going first, but I think the Glowinski is probably my favorite signing, and I'm kind of like Adam. Normally, I can get a feel of what a team's going to do. I guess if I could get an overall feeling, it's kind of feeling like they're locking down the guard position more, and maybe we go after tackle. That's kind of getting ahead of myself here, but Galinsky is more of a zone guy, so that's interesting to me. And Gano also is kind of more of an athletic zone type because the left side, I mean, they are not zone guys, so maybe they're building this team, this offensive line, where you can run zone on one side and some more gap stuff to the other side. I don't because Feliciano, he's more of a pass protector. So I don't know. Maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. It's just trying to figure out the moves. And it's just kind of all over the map at the moment here right now.
Well, should I'll tell you one thing. I pretty much like all the signings, but especially the old offensive line signings. Those are the ones that really piqued my interest and really like, you know what, these guys are really going at it. They're really focused on fixing that old line right out the gate. So those three signings right there. I know they're saying that Matt Gano might be, maybe he's a camp body or who knows whether or not he's going to really compete. As far as Glowinski, I actually like that. I think that's probably the best signing that I liked out of all the three offensive linemen. Just for the simple fact he has experience. He hasn't missed a game in, I think, 2 years. And pretty much, I'm not going to sit there and say that he's going to be a starter day one, but the fact is that he's got that experience. He's pretty much good in the run game. That right there can open up, wonders for our run as far as our running game. Saquon Barkley, whoever else is the running back. But all the signings, I'm good with. But most of all is just the offensive line signings. Those are the ones I like.
Galinsky
Yeah,
can pull too. We have a puller
yeah,
now.
he can. He
Yep.
can. And I really like how he attacks the second level, to be honest with you. And I agree. I think for me, Gillespie's probably my favorite signing at the moment. probably a little bit more than John Feliciano, who I really wanted the Giants to go out there and target. And we ended up getting him. But I think that the Giants, the way that they're approaching, free agency is kind of telling of how they may approach the draft. I could absolutely see in them getting a tackle, and I think it's possible that one of the three tackles is going to be there, whether that's Iquanu. I don't see Neal being there, but it may be possible if Jacksonville takes Hutchinson. You also can put Charles Cross there as well, maybe in a trade back. Maybe they take him at 7. But I definitely do think that they're going to take a tackle in the first round, especially since they're really attacking the guard position right now. Do y'all see them signing, maybe another guard piece for depth in free agency, or do you think they're just going to look towards the draft for that?
Yeah, I'd say they're probably going to go towards the draft. That would be my thought. Maybe grab a fourth round and back guard or something to compete with Shane Lemieux.
Man,
Yeah.
I would love for them to go after Bozeman, the center from was it the Ravens?
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see them go after him. But as far as anything else is concerned, nah, I believe that they're gonna basically go out and fix whatever else is there through the draft. If they're pretty much done with free agency as a whole as far as picking up players, that could change. Who knows? But
Remember, because we still have Bredesen on the roster too, so he'll be
exactly.
That's
as
a
well.
good point.
Yeah.
We do have
Exactly.
Bredesen there.
That's what I'm saying. It's like with who, but the fact is whether or not they're keeping him. That's the question. We don't know what they're going to do as far as Bredesen, Skura, Price, which that can go more in the realm of letting him go instead of keeping him. But from the way it's been playing out as far as the free agency, in my opinion, it's looking good for the simple fact they addressed the O-line early. They didn't wait like Gettleman did 2 weeks before the week 1. They addressed it early, and they addressed it relatively in a way that nobody expected. Really, nobody expected them to do that. But other than going after Bozeman, who was a center and who I really like, I want to see whether or not they're going to be able to pick up a veteran tight end. That's probably one of the more
point.
key positions.
Have to.
Yeah, you have to at this point, man. I just feel that with us really only having Chris Myrick on this roster, who I know he had that touchdown last year, but I'm not banking on him. I'm not even banking on him to be a starter, to be honest with you. I think that they will double up with tight end in the draft. I thought it might have been smart to maybe get one in free agency and get one in the draft, but I could absolutely see in them taking a tight end, whether that's in the 3rd round, maybe even in the 2nd round. Let's say they trade that 7th back and they collect an extra 2nd round pick for this year. I could absolutely see them picking up, a tight end early. I don't think there's a tight end in this class that, what we were used to, what we saw last year, obviously, but I do think that there are some pretty good talent in this draft. And I think that honestly, again, I wouldn't be shocked if we picked one up in the 3rd or even in the 2nd round. But I definitely want to try to get to these comments here. What's going on, chat? Champ, how you doing, man? What's that? Thank you for stopping by, Jaden. Other Jaden, how you doing, man? Thanks for stopping by. D-Mac Warrior. Oh, that's you, Rodney. I was about to say, what's up, Big Blue Corner? Thank you guys for stopping by. Mark, the Blue Giant. Yes, sir. Another episode. Let's get it. And we actually got a question for Mark, from Mark, excuse me. He says, do you think this offensive line is average next year if we get a tackle? I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that this offensive line could be, if not average, maybe a tad under average, depending on who we get at tackle. But I think that this line could be average next year. But it's just gonna depend.
Well, if a rookie right tackle you bring in is decent at pass protecting, I think we could see average because Golinsky, what you're going to get from him. Feliciano, you know what you're going to get from him. And Shane Lemieux, even though his first season he was not great at pass protecting, go back and watch the tape. Him and Andrew Thomas were very good at dealing with stunts and twists with each other. That was the one part of their game that was excellent. And that's the reason why Will Hernandez lost his job. So yeah, I think it actually could be average, but you might have to see some time for it to wait in gel. Remember, we got a whole new scheme coming in here, so that's going to be a little bit of an adjustment too. So maybe by week 5, 6, we're starting to look at the fruits of what we've done here.
I can agree
Yeah,
with you, GOS, man.
I agree with that 100%. And I think that if we can get a tackle, like you said, GOS, that can at least be average in pass protection, I think that we should see an average offensive line this year. And if we could kick Gates out to guard, I mean, that's a nice depth piece as well. Then, you're looking at our offensive line just on paper is looking a lot better than what we had last year, even before some of those players retired, in my opinion.
Yep, you're
Because
right.
I don't think that even with the players that retired, they were going to be a difference maker to this offensive line. We don't know that. So I'm really excited to see how this line looks. I think that if we can get an average line, it's only going to benefit who's behind the ball, whether that's DJ, whether that's Tyrod, who we're going to talk about in a little bit, whether that's a rookie next year. We got to make sure that we can fix this foundation, fix this line. It's going to help our running game as well. And it seems that we may be keeping Saquon for this year, at least for right now. And if we do, I'm really excited to see how he looks behind this offensive line if we could get it to where average is at. And I don't think that it's impossible to say that. But that's a good question, Mark. Thanks for asking us that, man. I really appreciate it. Jaden says free agency has been really fun for what we got. Yeah, I mean, I didn't see us, really making any big splash signings in free agency. What's going on, Easy3? Thanks for stopping
Easy
by,
three's got
man.
a good question.
Yes, sir. I'm actually about to click on that in just one moment. But yeah, I agree with you, Jaden. I think that for what we got, it's been pretty nice. Again, Mark Lewinsky is definitely my favorite signing. He says if Kayvon drops, who do you draft at tackle? Would you try? Oh my god, I can't read today. Who do you draft, tackle or Kayvon? I'm gonna be honest with you. I would take Kayvon at 5 and then take my tackle at 7, even if that's Charles Cross.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that.
I
So
understand.
here's the crazy thing about that question and the scenario, because if for some reason, and crazy things have happened in the draft, but let's just say that Iquanu and Kayvon Thibodeau is there at number 5. The key is to finding out what Carolina is going to do, and then you taking the risk of someone trading with Carolina to come up and possibly get either Thibodeau or Evan Neal. I'm sorry, Iquanu. Uh, it's crazy. It's crazy because there's a good chance that Evan Neal may not go first or may go first. I'm banking on him going first as far as the first tackle off the board. So then you got Iquanu there. I don't see Kayvon Thibodeau dropping to us, but there's a likelihood that he can. Who knows? Who knows what the Texans are going to do? What was it, Detroit? Who knows what the Jets are going to do at number 4? Who knows? I'm looking at it from this scenario. What does Carolina need? Because if Carolina
Tackle.
doesn't need in their cases, they need a tackle. That's a 50-50 chance of whether or not they're going to really pass on Iquanu. You still got Cross there. Is Cross a reach at 7? Because technically speaking, the 2 top tackles are already off the board. I'm not saying there's a huge drop off between Iquanu and Cross, but is it a reach? That's the biggest question. So if I'm looking at the draft from my perspective, and I'm the GM, I have to take that tackle first. If I have Iquanu on my board and he's basically the highest that I have that I'm able to get, I can't sit up there and pass on him for Kayvon Thibodeau. And I know he's an elite pass rusher. I just can't see passing on Iquanu or if it's Neal and taking a chance of not being able to get another tackle until later on in the draft where there's a huge drop off. If that's the right tackle that I have high on my board, and he's basically, if I'm looking at him going to be solidifying my right side, I have to go. I have to pass on Kayvon Thibodeau. I would have to do it.
if there's two tackles on the board and Kayvon, I'm going to take Kayvon. If there's only one tackle, if two were gone before us, yeah, I'm gonna go tackle. But I would try while I'm on the clock before I pick Kayvon. I would try and move my 7 pick up to the 6 from Carolina. That way, I can guarantee myself a tackle as well. That would be my maneuver if I was the GM. As long as it don't cost you an arm and a leg, you'd think it might only cost you one of them third rounders or something, maybe a third and a fifth or something, just to move up one spot. But yeah, that would be my move. It's so hard to pass on Kayvon, but you cannot come out of this draft, in my opinion, without one of them top 3 tackles. That would be a huge loss. I mean, if we're looking at maybe possibly have to trade down at the end of the first to grab somebody like a Bernard Raymond or somebody like that, that's just, and now we're talking about a whole developmental thing with another tackle when these top 3 are pretty much ready to rock and roll and they can just improve over time. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I definitely see what y'all are saying. I gotta disagree though. I'm gonna be honest with you. I might sound crazy too, but I can't pass up on the kid. I really can't. And that doesn't. I'm not trying to discredit the value of Charles Cross or Aquanu or even just where our offensive line is at right now. Um, but I mean, I'm just looking at how Shane has approached the offensive line, even with his tenure over there in Buffalo, where they found talent, in the later rounds. I'm not saying that, whoever they pick, whether that's in the second rounds or the third round, or even let's say they trade 7 back and they were to pick up someone. I'm not saying that that's going to be, the end all or be all. But for me, man, I mean, I don't think you could pass up on Kayvon. But I
See, trade back,
understand though.
then you're looking at Trevor Penning. I mean, he's a project too. I mean,
He
outside of them
is.
top 3, I mean, we're talking projects here. Maybe they have some upside, but oh
No,
man, that's a tough
and
decision.
it's a very
Yeah.
tough decision because on one end, it's okay. Let's say you take a tackle, but then you're still having that edge hole that you're missing. And I understand, Karlofkis will probably be there. You could, I feel like if you wanted to reach, take a Jermaine Johnson at 7. I mean, there's more edges in this class that I feel like are really good in terms of quality than maybe at the offensive tackle position outside of the top 3. But I don't know. If we're talking Kayvon, I don't know if I could pass up on him. It's going to
Well,
be hard as hell for me to pass up on him.
well, see now here's the thing because if again here's the scenario if Neil or Equano and Kayvon Thibodeau is there, if you know that Carolina's looking for a tackle, you can't go wrong in choosing either Neil or Equano at 5. Carolina has no choice. If they want tackle, they're going to go with Cross, and then
Yeah, you're
we're
still
there at
getting your
number
guy.
7. You're still getting
I
your
mean,
guy.
that's a good point
If
too.
if
That's a
there's
good
You
two
know,
point.
so
tackles there, you're still getting your guy.
exactly. That's what I'm saying is like if that draft, you know, basically is set up the way it is, and it figures out that okay, you know what, it lands this way in the Giants' lap where we have a choice of Equanu and Neil, or I mean either Equanu, Neil, and Kayvon Thibodeau. You can't go wrong with either one because, again, what is Carolina looking for? What is Carolina going to do? Now, the only other possibility that can hinder that is if they trade back with somebody else and someone comes up and gets Kayvon Thibodeau.
Well, the word
Then
is with
at that
Carolina is
point,
they're
what are you going
quarterback
to do?
hunting right now. They're on the market
Yeah.
quarterback hunting right now. That's the word out on
Yep.
them. So I think they need. And I look at their roster, I just think tackle, 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 tackle. Nothing. They need that more than anything. It's their offensive line is so bad.
Yeah, you're right. And like I said, at that point, if you know that they need a tackle and that's probably what they're going to go after, you can't go wrong. However, I'm going to throw this monkey wrench in it. Wink Martindale does not prioritize edge as much as he does cornerbacks. Now, depending on what we do concerning Bradbury, whether he's here or not, would you say pass on Kayvon Thibodeau and go to the route of like Sauce Gardner? What do you think of that scenario?
Uh, I would understand it, just going to your point of where Wink does value the cornerback position maybe a little bit more than the edge. Um, I wouldn't. I want to word what I'm saying carefully. I wouldn't be pissed if they took a cornerback instead of Kayvon, but I wouldn't be happy either, if I'm being honest with you.
Yep. I mean, again, looking at the scenarios and what's going on, because we have no idea what they're going to. We don't know what type of scheme they're going to be running, whether it's defense or offense. You know, and that's the thing. You know, if you could highlight Mark the Blue Giant, um, at was it 523. He says, I don't know about that. Got to be something wrong to not take Kayvon. We need edge more than OL at this point, to be honest. I think they can risk taking a cross. You're right. They can risk taking cross because there's really no huge drop off between Neal, Equanu, and Cross. They're pretty much 1, 2, and 3. The problem that I see with that is regardless of the fact of what they do as far as offensive line is concerned, the defense is going to literally is going to take, priority in this draft just as much as the offensive line. Depending on what they do as far as Bradbury is concerned, is what is going to basically dictate what direction they go in the draft. Because again, Wink likes to prioritize those cornerbacks, and I can see us passing on Thibodeau, which won't be, liked by a lot of Giants fans,
Oh
to
yeah.
possibly taking Sauce Gardner. Is it I wouldn't say it's a reach. It's not going to be something that people is going to really like, but you have to look at it from the standpoint of what type of scheme is Wink Martindale going to run? Is he going to run that same scheme that he was running in Baltimore? Heavy
Oh yeah, he's
blitz,
gonna.
cover blitz.
I
He's
think
going
I
to do
think he
that.
will. I think he
Yeah,
will.
We know the difference is when you look at the O line and edge. If you look to the second round, right? So say the Giants go cornerback, you feel a lot better about them edge rushers in the second round than you do about them offensive linemen, them tackles, and that's just the truth of the matter. If it was guard instead
exactly.
of tackle, it'd be a different story. But when listen, there's got Boye Mafe, Majay Sanders, there's all kinds of them guys sitting in the second you can grab, and you feel really good about them day one. If we're looking at Bernard Raymond or Daniel Falele having to start on the right side, with
Pass,
all the questions,
pass.
with all the questions that are right now on Daniel Jones and what he needs to do and where this franchise is headed if we don't fix this O line, the change that are coming,
I mean,
I
you're
feel more
right about
comfortable going edge in the second round.
I mean, and I get that. Like that's what I'm saying. Like I understand wanting to take tackle first. I get that. Again, it's just, and I think that you guys make a great point. For me, I guess it really just depends at who's there. At 5, are there going to be two tackles there? If there's two tackles there, I would absolutely take Kayvon because then whether that's Cross that's going to be at 7 or maybe that's Aquanu that's going to be at 7.
Right.
Which again, I mean, the more we talk about it, I don't know if Aquanu gets past Carolina. Um, and I wouldn't be shocked if the Giants were to take an offensive tackle first before they take an edge rusher or even a cornerback. I wouldn't be shocked at that either. So
Kayvon's going to the Jets. Let's just get this straight.
I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, I could absolutely see
They
them
signed
taking
Lock and Tomlinson. They're going to take Kayvon. They set themselves up for it.
yeah, I mean that might be their what Salah views as their Joey Bosa. That
Yeah.
I don't think that they're the same player, but I mean for compared to what the Jets have right now, I mean he may view that as their Joey Bosa that they're missing. I mean y'all remember when Bosa came in, I mean he was a big difference maker to that 49ers defense, man,
Nick
especially
Bosa.
his rookie
Yeah.
year. Yeah, Nick Bosa. I apologize. But let me see here. Oh, what's going on, Jaden? Again, Super Taj, what is going on? Thanks for stopping by, man. Um, okay, yeah. Easy Three was saying that he believes Kayvon is Khalil Mack 2.0. Hey, look, if he can be a Khalil Mack 2.0, I mean, sign me the fuck up. That's all I'm gonna say. Sign me the fuck up if he can be a Kayvon 2.0. Um, but again, and I think that the guys here made a good point. It's for me, I guess it's just again who's going to be there at 5. Do they got two tackles there? If there is, I'm not gonna lie. If there is one tackle and it's Kayvon, I mean, uh, I'm not going to be upset. If they take that tackle because I'm not blind. I know that this offensive line needs work. I know that they really want to build the trenches and there's depth at the edge position in the draft. I get that. So I'm not going to be upset at all if they take offensive tackle at 5. GOS disappeared. Hopefully he could come back in. Um, but let's get into this. Easy Three says Sauce is not what people think. I feel like he got DeAndre Baker vibes without the craziness. Um, I don't know if he's DeAndre Baker, to be honest with you, Easy Three. But I look, as Giants fans, we have not had any luck drafting cornerbacks in the first round. I think we all know that it just has not worked out for us at all through the years. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been saying this for God knows how long at this point. I am not in favor of taking a cornerback in the first round. Personally, I would rather get an edge rusher and a tackle, as opposed to let's say a corner and a tackle. Even if it's not an edge rusher, if they trade back and get up a player like Devin Lloyd, I will be very happy with that as well. I just think that if Bradbury is gone. I don't think that our cornerback position, while it is going to have a hole, I don't think it's as bad as some people may think that it is. I think that Aaron Robinson last year, when he was kind of thrown into the fire, held his own. Adoree Jackson had a quietly good year last year. And I think that he's going to thrive in Wake Martindale's defense. Hey, what's going on, GOS? Um, but again, for me, I don't think that he's got DeAndre Baker written on him. I know a lot of people. And I'm not saying you guys in the chat. I'm not saying anybody on this panel, but I have seen people compare this kid to freaking Ramsey. If I'm being honest with you, I don't see that. Um, but again, I wouldn't be shocked if they took Sauce either. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Well, I mean, the thing about it is this: at some point, we're going to have to look at things from this perspective as far as the Giants is concerned and the way that they're going to go. You know, the crazy thing as far as looking at the second round, we only got one second round pick. Now, I'm banking on us maybe possibly getting a trade back for the second, for another, if we're able to get a trade back, picking another second round pick, if at all possible. But we're picking from 36, and so many players can go and get off the board as far as whatever Joe Shane and them have on their board, from 36 to 61. So what we do with those first three picks, we need to be able to hit on those in a major way, because a lot of players are going to start to fall off. And at that point, 2 third-round picks, a fourth, 2 fifth-round picks, 9 picks in total, we can do a lot. But being able to address the needs of this team, we may not be able to get them all done in 1 year. That's more than likely a definite. But what can we do mainly with those 3 picks early to try to set ourselves up?
Yeah, that's a good point too. And I really can't wait for the draft to come here, because I really think that whether again we take that tackle and a linebacker, or a tackle and an edge rusher. I'm gonna be honest with you, and before we talk about James Bradbury, do y'all see them taking possibly a guard in the second round? I mean, or do you see them maybe with the signings that they've had at guard in free agency? Do you see them maybe going in a different position in the second round? I mean, maybe it's possible that they take that linebacker and that tackle in the first round, and then maybe in the second round they decide to go corner. I mean, what do you guys think of that?
Depends on who drops, right? I mean, if Zion Johnson or somebody like that falls, then I think they're in play. I think that's all going to depend on, every year there's 40, 45 guys with a first round grade, right? We don't know who's going to drop. Well, if one or two of them guys is a guard, they got a first round grade on it. I'm sure they'll be in the mix. So it's going to depend on who's on the board, in my opinion.
Okay.
I mean, that's a good point.
Since you said that, here's a question for you, GOS. His squad too, and anybody else in the panel. Based off of what we've done in free agency, when do you think that we're going to possibly even touch the O-line again in the draft? Because we picked up not 1, not 2, but 3 offensive linemen. Who's there? Was it Lemieux and Gates and Pert? Those guys are still up in the air as far as injuries and how they're going to be able to come back. So do you think they attack it again in the second round, or do you think they attack it later on, like, anywhere between 5, 6, 4, 5, and 6?
I think the later rounds are probably more realistic, but
Yep.
Again, you never know. If Zion Johnson's there in a second, you never know.
I feel like you got to take him. I gotta be
Yeah.
honest with you. I think you gotta take him. And I highlighted this because I could absolutely see this easy three. Um, I think that if and this happens every year, a player drops that we wouldn't have thought in 1,000 years that would have dropped. And it happens. And I really think that if there is a player that drops to the later half of the first round, let's say it's about to be day two. I mean, could they pull a DeAndre Baker situation where they trade back up into the later first round? I could see it. I'm gonna be honest with you. If they feel that there's a linebacker there that may not make it to the second round, and maybe let's say it's the 29th or 30th pick, they may send that 36th pick, maybe one of the thirds and some other compensation to move up to that first round to get them. But I think that if a Zion Johnson is there in the second round, I mean, I feel like you got to take him. I mean, if you can get a tackle and Zion Johnson, which I don't know if that can happen, but if it can, I mean, you're talking about a really really improved offense.
I
What
want a
is going?
defensive tackle, middle linebacker, tight end, and then 2, 3 rounds right there. That's what I'm looking at.
Hey, and I can't fault you for that either, because I mean, outside of DT, I mean, from the second to the fourth round, I'm looking at linebacker. If we don't take one in the first, offensive guard, tight end, possibly receiver, and maybe with one of those third round picks, probably the second one, because I think with that first third round pick, they may look to put that for the tight end. But I mean, I could see them taking a receiver in the third round too, or even in the fourth round, to be honest with you. But what is
Wandale
going on,
Robinson, baby.
Hey, that would be perfect too, man. I mean, and if they can find a team to trade back with in this first round, I mean, you're just gonna get more picks for your team that already right now we're in a position where we need to fill as many holes as we can. And I can see it happening, but I'm just not entirely sure, to be honest with you. What's going on, Tudo? What's going on, Anthony Baker? Barker, excuse me. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to Big Blue Corner. Subscribe to GOS and myself, Hit Squad Productions. I just dropped our links in the chat, and you can find our links in the bio. He said, did James Bradbury get traded yet? No, not from what I have seen. He hasn't. Let me get you guys' thoughts actually on James Bradbury. Um, I mean, I know that we all kind of at this point, he's either gonna get traded or he's gonna get cut. I mean, do you guys see him getting traded before the draft? I mean, can you see him getting traded maybe a little bit after the draft? I mean, do you see him getting outright cut? I've seen people say that, while the Giants haven't approached him on a restructure or an extension, maybe to lower that cap hit. I mean, do you think that the Giants maybe eat the cap this year? I don't see it happening, but I mean, what do you think happens with James Bradbury, man?
I'll be honest with you. I won't be surprised if he's in a New York Giants uniform, starting week one. I wouldn't be surprised. But I guess here's the thing. Because this is the start of free agency as of right now, a lot of things can still play out. I'm not sure exactly how many cornerbacks are out there as far as free agents is concerned, but whoever they have, whatever teams out there have as far as their top cornerback, as far as free agency is concerned, if we let that play out as far as who gets who, then maybe at that point James Bradbury might be one of those guys that they're going to go after. You know, the Raiders have Patrick Graham out there. There's a good chance he could go to Patrick Graham, in the Raiders. Who knows? He could get traded there. They already had to pick up his, $2 million by 4 o'clock. So that $2 million is guaranteed. At this point, it's whoever decides that they want to have, whoever needs a cornerback out there. But if there's no takers, and I don't believe that Shane is going to just trade him for nothing, there's 50-50 chance that he could be back in a Giants uniform.
There's actually a date where they'd save like an extra 3.5 million or something if they trade him or release him after that point. So I don't think you're going to see him move until that day. Now the rumors are there's a 5th-round pick already on him if that's the route they want to go. I think you're probably just going to release him before you take that, because if you release him, then I think you're eligible for comp pick down the line. But honestly, you don't know. I mean, if the only way to lower his cost is to add him another year, what does Wink feel about him? That's what it's going to all come down to. I don't think James Bradbury is as good of a man corner as he's made out to be. I feel like he's a lot better in zone. If to mix it up here and run a little bit more of the stuff we saw with Patrick Graham, then you could make it work. But I just feel like the moves the Giants have made, the money they've invested already in this free agency, it's kind of leading towards they're going to that cap relief they'll get from Bradbury will pay for the rookies. So yeah, I think he's gone. I think it'd be
Yeah,
hard to keep him. He'd have to take a cut to stay, and I don't know if he's willing to
yeah.
do it. I don't know.
No, I mean that's a good point. I'm not entirely sure if he's willing to do it. I'm not even entirely sure if Joe Shane is willing to do it. I mean, because I know that Dan Dugan said earlier that there's been no talks of an extension, and I mean, if that's true, I really wonder how long is Shane going to be willing to hold on to Bradbury. Maybe to raise his trade stock. I think that's going to be fun to monitor that. But at the moment he's here. Um, if if there's a possibility that he could be restructured, I would like that too. And that leads me to a question, and this is the only question we got for the panel today that was DM to me. Let me check here. Okay, boom. I appreciate you, Brian, for sending in this message. He says, would it make sense to hold him for the draft, maybe use him in a package deal moving up a couple rounds? What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Who's the biters? Who's gonna want to do that? It's a possibility, yeah. But I mean, here's the thing: when you have a when you have a player like Bradbury, who I think he's what 30, 29 or 30. You know, has he lost a step? How well does he play? As you say, in zone in man coverage. Is he more deficient in man coverage than zone, or vice versa? It all depends on how much teams are going to value a player like Bradbury in their system. As far as packaging him with as far as a trade deal, where for a draft pick, hey, that's a possibility as well. You never know. It all depends on what they can get for him and who the team is. If they're a quarterback needy team who's willing to trade, it's not a bad idea.
I
Yeah,
think you got more takers if you trade him now, because by the time the draft rolls around, a lot of people have already invested the majority of their cap for at least this season. You're probably going to have more takers if you want to trade him now. If you trade him around the draft, a lot of teams are probably going to do like a sign and trade with him, so maybe you're not going to get value like you would get him now. Because remember, no matter what, he's going to be $9 million cap on a team next year. So you're going to have to find a team that has the cap to just take that in. And what kind of I don't, it's a tough situation. I just feel like they're going to cut him. That's like
yeah. I
yeah, I
mean,
just feel
I
like they're
hope
going to
that
cut
they
him.
don't. To be honest with you, I hope that we can get him traded. I don't think the New York Giants view him worth being a fifth round, trade value. In my opinion, I think honestly, man. I mean, I I've seen some people say that maybe the Giants overvalue James Bradbury. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that he's a pretty good corner. And I think that honestly, I mean, with how the market is right now, I think the biggest name outside of James Bradbury would probably be Stephon Gilmore at the moment. But I think for me personally, I mean, I think it's kind of I think teams are looking at his cap hit and how much he's due to make this year, and that may turn them off. I mean, would a team prefer to have him extended, maybe to lower the cap hit, and maybe they give a fourth round pick? I'm not entirely sure, but for me, I don't think that he's worth trading for a fifth round pick or outright cutting him.
Well,
And to answer your
why should you?
yeah,
why should you trade for him if you just sit back, you wait till the Giants hit that mark where they get the extra 3 million by releasing him, and then you don't got to give nothing up. You don't even got to give a third nothing up. You can just go out and pursue the guy and just sign him. If I'm a team, I'm sitting back and I'm waiting. I'm gonna
I
call the
mean, and
Giants
that's a
bluff.
good
They have
point.
no leverage.
It's a good point, and and again to answer your point, excuse me, to answer your question, Brian, I don't think that they would wait until the draft to trade up. Excuse me, to trade him, because for me, I mean, there's some pretty good corners in this draft that teams may look to pick up in the first round. So for me, I don't see that happening. I think that if the Giants don't find someone to trade him for it, I mean, for what they're looking for at least, I could absolutely see him getting traded for a fifth round pick. Um, Maybe a fifth and a sixth, or maybe two fives. I could see that, but I just don't see it happening. I don't see the Giants keeping him till draft day. I would be shocked though. I'm not gonna lie. Um, what's going on, Coach? Appreciate you stopping by, Dante. Great stream earlier, man. But let me get your guys' thoughts really quick on just since we're on the topic of the draft. I know we kind of talk about the draft often, but it's going to be coming up soon. I mean, do you think that possibly with how free agency has been going, not just with the Giants, but we don't know what this Deshaun Watson situation is going to be. So I think that there are going to be players that fall down. Let's say Carolina gets him, and then Houston now has the sixth pick on top of already having the third overall pick. I mean, how do you see this draft playing out? Do you think that a lot of teams are going to kind of wait to see what happens with Watson, where he goes? I know that Atlanta's in those talks. I know the Saints are in those talks. Same with Carolina. They're saying that there's two teams that are under the radar that may swoop in to get him as well, but they didn't list those teams. So
The Browns.
I can see the Browns. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too, is that if the Browns, do that deal and they send Baker Mayfield to Houston, I mean, they may look to take an offensive tackle with that third pick. I'm gonna just
Did
be
you see
honest.
the? Did you see Baker Mayfield's long thing he made out on
I
Twitter?
read it.
I
I,
saw
I I
that.
read it, and I'm like, dude, like, I mean, Tua didn't even do that shit when he was dealing with all that nonsense last year. With Deshaun Watson. So for me, it's like, I mean, they took a meeting, but for you to do all of that, man, is I really wasn't trying to hear none of that, to be honest with you.
Well, and then, here's the question, man. I mean, the funny thing about that is that they're just having talks. Nothing is even solidified as far as a trade is concerned. So I think that was a bit premature in what Baker Mayfield did, because if you're the quarterback and you're, absolutely sure about your job and your position, you're not going to say anything. You're not going to do anything. You're going to let things play out. For him to come out and say something in and of itself, it's like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to garner some sort of sympathy for your situation? Because technically speaking, not one person can really do anything about your situation. One, you play for the Browns. You don't play for the Browns fans. You play on behalf of the Browns fans, but you don't play for them. You play for the Browns. If they decide to cut you today, then you're cut. There's really nothing you can really do much about it. So if I was here, if I was Baker, I would not have said a word. Just let things play out, and when it's all said and done, my my play is going to dictate and let you know exactly the type of person I am. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to play my heart out and show you guys exactly the reason why I'm the quarterback for the Browns. Why on earth would you need to say anything? It just, to me, it was just asinine to even come out, even with something that is simple as thanking the Browns. Just don't say anything. Just keep quiet. Let everything play out.
Nah, he's
Yeah,
always been a damn idiot. I don't know what his deal is. He's always played it
he's a
up for the
drama
fans. I think
queen.
that Yeah, I think that's why he's ran his mouth. He did that for the fans. Some fans they want that raw, loud quarterback. I think he's always had a little bit of calculation of saying and doing things for the fans. So this is right on cue for him.
Yeah, for
Yep.
me, it's to me he's always been a drama queen. I'm not the biggest Baker Mayfield fan. Um, and Jaden, I'm gonna get to this question in just one moment. I just want to highlight this. Mark, you're absolutely right. That's all I'm gonna say. You're absolutely right, man. I think that's 100% true. Um, and honestly, if he gets sent to the Texans, man, I mean, uh, you're in such a good situation with the Browns, where you have a top offensive line, you got talent at the wide receiver position, you got a stout defense, a really good running game. I know that they lost Tooper, but you still have the Joku there. Um, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I mean, he is part of the problem over there, in my honest opinion, with the Cleveland Browns. Um, And I feel like if you can't win with the talent you have over there, I mean, I don't see you winning with the Texans. I mean, maybe. I mean, if the Colts can't get a Jimmy G, I mean, maybe you can, push to be competitive in that division. But again, I'm not the biggest Baker Mayfield fan.
I mean, do you think they'll trade him to another AFC North team? Case in point, the Colts, because
I
if the
heard
Colts
Carolina.
can't get, yeah, that's what either Carolina.
How
But I
funny would
mean,
that be? Listen, Blue Corner, think how this funny would be. Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield on the same team on their 5th-year
oh my
option, both getting
God,
18.
man! Look, I was just about to say I was going to contradict myself just a minute ago by saying the same exact thing. It's like, okay, that right there. They said that the Browns is where QBs go to die. I think Carolina now is where QBs go to die because all that capital you gave up for Sam Darnold, you're now looking for a quarterback. Browns, it's not the same scenario, but you're going to send him to another team who already has a bad QB on top of that. So you got two bad QBs compete to see who's better. I mean, we already know what Baker is, Again, his squad, like you said, he had probably a top 3, top 5.
According to Mark, he's a bitch.
Yeah, well, hey, I mean, if you're getting on like that and you're coming out with messages, and there really is no reason for you to come out with a message like that because they're just looking at Watson. Watson has the ultimate say afterwards, depending on whatever they're going to trade. Whatever the Browns are going to give for Deshaun Watson. Again, that's what I was saying. Don't say anything because you don't even know what they're going to do. Watson, at the end of the day, is going to pick the place where he wants to go. So why would you say anything? Just leave it alone.
He's hurt. She's hurt. Give her time to heal.
Yeah, like his shoulder, man. Give it time to heal.
Yeah. I wish our quarterbacks have had Baker Mayfield situation the last few years. Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, you're in a really good situation over there with the Browns, man. And again, I'm not going to say that everything is his fault, but I mean, he is the cause for a lot of their problems, man. I mean, it's like, and dude runs his mouth so much. I know that fans want that rah kind of a player. I get that. But okay, you look at Jalen Ramsey, right? I know different position, but he's a rah player. Dude can back it up. He backs it up. I have no problem with that. If you're a rah and you can back it up, I got no problems with that. Baker cannot back up his talk. I'm going to just put that out there. Not a lot of people are going to agree with me. That kid cannot back up his talk.
It needs his team to help him.
Exactly. And it's like, I mean, it's crazy because you look, last year they had, again, I know that OBJ, he dealt with injuries there, but you got OBJ in the beginning of the year. You even had OBJ the year prior. But you have OBJ, you got Landry, you got Hooper, you got Njoku, you got a stout running game, you got a stout offensive line, you got a stout defense in a division.
2 of the top 10 running backs in the NFL.
Exactly. And it's like you can't win nothing, dog. Like it's just I don't understand. Let me ask y'all, and y'all could be honest with me. Do you think if the roles were switched, I mean, do you think that DJ would be in that same situation? Not winning them games in the playoffs. Do you see him like? I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that he would take him farther. I know not a lot of people.
If he stayed healthy, if he was still having the same injury concerns, then it'd probably be similar. But I think if Daniel Jones and he's healthy, we're looking at Daniel Jones a whole different way.
Facts. And that's why I've been saying, I mean, if that kid could get an offensive line, I mean, I think that he could be a good QB. Maybe it's not with us. Let's be real. Maybe it's not with us, but I'm not going to sit here and act like Baker is a better QB than DJ. I can't say that honestly. I know that that's not a very favored comment to make, but I'm gonna just be real. If I had a gun to my head right now and I had to choose between Baker Mayfield or Daniel Jones, I am choosing Daniel Jones. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I think here's the thing. I'm seeing enough for Daniel Jones. I think if you give him a good team, he could be Dak Prescott. Edge of the top 10. That kind of era. That's how I feel about DJ. But right now, that's the ceiling I see. So, can you live with that? Sure. As long as you don't have to pay him $40 million, you can live with that. If you can get away with paying him
Yeah,
25, 30, and you get that
no,
consistent performance, then you can live with it.
yeah, well,
Yeah,
you
that's
see what's
true too,
going on over there in Dallas right now with all that dilemma.
bro.
Remember Pre-Amari Dak? Here it comes. Here comes Pre-Amari Dak.
And I'm excited because you know what? They are banking on CD to be that number one. I'm sorry, I like CD as a talent. I think that he's a very talented receiver, but he's no Amari Cooper. I'm sorry. I think
Mr.
that
Oopsie, I
Amari is.
dropped it, did it.
Yeah, and you know what? I know that Amari, he kind of disappears in games, especially on the road. But I mean, to me, I think that he's one of the best route runners in this game. I mean, he's still young. And honestly, man, I mean, I think that when there were games that Amari either didn't show up or maybe he missed it to injury, I mean, it showed on the field. I mean, it really showed their wide receiver court on the field. I'm gonna just be honest with you. I know, and they lost on top of that. I believe they lost Albert Wilson. I mean, they're banking on Gallup to come back, and be who he was prior to this ACL injury. So, I mean, as a Giants fan, I'm loving it because it looks like their window is closing a lot faster than they may feel. But Jonathan Studios, thanks for stopping by, man. I appreciate the comment. He says Baker's value is higher as a personality. If you can work things out with the Browns, win. If rises above Deshaun replacement, win. New team, good guy personality, win. Um, I mean, again, I mean, a lot of teams are going to look at how he's handled certain situations with the Browns. I mean, you look how he responded to the Duke Johnson situation with him wanting money. Oh, he's either on this train or not. That's why Duke Johnson uploaded a GIF yesterday of a train on fire. Because literally minutes after Baker Mayfield put up that sappy ass post. Like, come on, man. I mean, there's just been a lot of things that the kid does that it's like, again, I love rah rah. I'm one of those people. I like a rah rah player, but for me, you got to back that shit up. If you're gonna be rah
He's
rah
just been
and you can't take the heat, get out of here.
he's just been so inconsistent. It's like every other year he's good, horrible, good. Like, how can you pay a guy like that? You have to see 2 years in a row. So if he's going to the talks for a contract and he's talking astronomical numbers, you're out of your mind, dude. You got to put 2 good years together to get a contract. What are you talking about here?
Absolutely. And let's be real. I mean, I don't even think the Texans would look to extend him if they traded him over there. They may say, okay, let's see what you could do for a year and we'll go from there. I mean, but even then, I mean, or even if Carolina were to trade for him and they got Baker Mayfield, they may be dumb enough to extend him. I think that he may fit Carolina pretty well compared to at least what Sam Darnold is, or maybe a Cam Newton at this stage of his career. Um, but at the same time, it's like you already kind of know what Baker is at this point. I mean, and if you're the Carolina Panthers, you don't have anywhere near the talent on offense outside of McCaffrey, who isn't, guaranteed to be there this year. You
Well,
don't
he
have the
is still
same
kind of
offensive
young.
line. Yeah, he
I'd be
is.
careful saying like we know what he is. Listen, Baker Mayfield is teetering right around what we saw with Eli Manning. But here's the difference. At the end of Eli Manning's 4 year, he went on a run and won a Super Bowl.
That's true.
So I do see some Eli Manning kind of similarities with him. So I'm not out on Baker, but he does need to just shut the hell up and play football and earn his money at
Thank
this
you,
point because he
thank
hasn't.
you.
Very true. Very
Well, no,
true.
he has been earning his money because he does some damn good progressive commercials. I think it's progressive, or
Yeah.
is it Geico?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
progressive.
think it's
Come on now.
State is it State Farm? I don't freaking know at this point.
Hey,
He's been a
remember the
lot of damn
commercial where he's locked
commercials.
out of the stadium? How many of them is
Yeah.
he
Exactly.
gonna get if he gets shit canned? He's just locked out.
Oh, he's gonna be on far less commercials if he doesn't live up to expectations. I'm gonna just say that much. He Jonathan Studio says he can stay in charge of the narrative if he gets in front of the trade. I think that's his only goal right now. Um, I don't know if that's his only goal at the moment. I mean, because if you're Baker Mayfield, I mean, what do you do? Okay, let's say the Browns don't go out there and get Deshaun Watson. I mean, do you think that relationship is, fixable at that point? I mean, how do the
Reports
Browns
are the
feel
locker
about?
room's done with him.
And that leads me to this. I saw a report earlier today that the Browns want a more adult veteran at the quarterback position. So what
Uh-huh.
is that saying?
That's true. I
I
mean,
mean,
you got to look at it from the Browns organization standpoint. Are you going to pay him Dak Prescott money, Kirk Cousins money, Aaron Rodgers money based off of his play? Are you going to do it? Are you willing to do it? Because we already know. Look at Kirk Cousins. He's a good quarterback. I would say he's up average to maybe a little above average. He just can't get them over that hump. Do they view Baker Mayfield in the same light as Kirk Cousins? Yeah, he's a good quarterback, but he just can't get us to where we need to go. If that's what you're going to be banking on for the next, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years, paying him 35 to $40 million a year, you're going to want that quarterback that can get you to where you need to go, playoffs and beyond. And as of right now, I think it's up in the air as whether or not Baker Mayfield's even going to get a big payday with
If
the
you lost the
Browns, let
locker
alone
room,
anybody else.
gotta go. You gotta go if you lost the locker room.
Yep.
Yeah, if you're not trading Baker, then you got to get all the other disgruntled players out of the locker room.
Yep. Because it's not going to work when you have the locker room that really isn't, they don't really much like Baker Mayfield. They don't really have much faith in Baker Mayfield. How is that going to play out on the field? You don't want them to quit on him. You don't want the team to quit. And that's the worst scenario the Browns can be in at this point. Worst scenario.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, I feel like once you lose the locker room, I mean, you got to move on at that point. Um,
The writing's on
and
the wall.
Exactly, and it's like if you're the Houston Texans, and Coach, I know you're a Texans fan, so maybe you could chime in and give your thoughts on this. I mean, if you're the Houston Texans, I mean, do you think that Mayfield is that guy that could come in and be the difference maker? Can he rally the troops when you need him to rally the troops? Or is he going to be that guy that we've seen over there in Cleveland, throwing guys under the bus, having an attitude, being bitter, constantly opening up your mouth when you shouldn't be opening up your mouth? Are you gonna, push everyone in the locker room to turn against you? I mean, what Baker Mayfield are you gonna get with this trade? I'm not entirely sure, man. But I mean, for
It does
me,
he
it's
doesn't he
like
seem like he chilled out a little bit with that a little bit the last couple of years, just a little bit.
I think last year he did. I'm gonna be very honest with you. I was really shocked with how Baker Mayfield was last year. So I think the year before, not necessarily, but last year I'm gonna give him that much. I think last year for sure. He looked a little more mature. I thought that he handled himself well in certain situations, but for me, it's like again. I mean, if you're pushing for your locker room to turn against you and you're losing your locker room, it just may be best for you to move on from that situation. And it sucks because he's leaving a really good situation. And even though they cut Jarvis Landry and they cut Odell Beckham, you bring in Amari Cooper, you bring in Jakeem Grant. I'm sure that they're going to address the wide receiver position again in the draft if they don't in free agency anymore. Um, so you got to hope that whoever could come into the Browns situation can win over there. And it sucks that Mayfield hasn't been able to. But Coach Dante says, hell no. I think we're okay with Davis Mills. Davis Mills
Yep.
was the second best rookie last year. Davis Mills was pretty good last year. And I'm fine where we're at with Mills. And I'm proud. Oh, excuse me. He says, I'm proud of his progression. And I'm proud of his progression and what he has done. He was the second best rookie, the second best highest completion percentage. I'm proud of his progression and what he has done. Um, yeah, coach, for me, I thought that Davis Mills, especially when y'all drafted him, you guys got yourself a sneaky good player. I know a lot of people will ultimately make jokes about his neck. I'm not gonna lie, dude got a long ass neck. Uh, but no, that shit is long, dog. That is a long ass neck, boy.
Mike
They call him a
Um,
Glennon.
leaf
Mike
eater.
Glennon.
He's a national leaf trees.
he's a
Oh
freaking
my God.
giraffe. There- it's hold on, I gotta look this up real quick. There's uh there's this one character that he always reminded me of. Hold on, hold on, I'm about to share my screen real quick.
I want to know what Coach wants to know about. What did he think of Tyrod Taylor? I want to hear his opinion on that too.
I definitely want to get his thoughts on that for sure.
Oh my
Let me.
God, this kid looks like Mike Glennon.
It's bad, man. I'm trying to pull up a good picture of him real quick. Um, Hold on.
Well, I don't know if anybody has a longer neck than Mike Glennon, but his is
I
damn near
think
pretty
that
close.
he's pretty close. I'm gonna just say that much, man. Um, Hold on. I'm trying to find a good picture of this, man.
Long neck Mills. Okay, yeah, that's a good one there, Coach Dante.
Yeah, a lot of people would say long neck Mills, which is crazy. So this is, man. So we got. Hold on. So yeah, we got Davis Mills right here.
I'm looking at
Long
that picture right now, man.
long neck ass. And then you got this bitch. I mean, from Star Wars. It's just. I mean, come on, man.
Wait, is Davis
I mean,
Mills from the future?
I hope not. Bro, that shit terrifying. This shit, man, that shit longer than a
It's from a
gap.
different galaxy.
Okay, but you
Man.
needed to pull up Mike. You needed to pull up Mike Glennon
Oh yeah,
so
you know
you
what?
can
Let
see
me do that
exactly
then.
the difference in the neck.
Oh,
How
please. I
long.
never want to look at that asshole again. Please.
We're gonna look at this man one more time, and we're never gonna
Yo,
have
you
to
know
look
what's
at this man
terrifying
again.
though? Tyrod Taylor legit has the exact identical stats that Mike Glennon did.
Look at it. Look at they're right here. Look at this. Look at it. Look at it.
I'll tell you what. My daughter would bring a guy home looking like that. I'm just punching him right in his face.
Oh
Look at
You
that
gotta
goofy
punch
looking
his
son
neck,
of a
man,
bitch.
like a giraffe.
Yeah, punch him right in his fucking
uh,
neck.
Coach, if you can, if you're still here, man, I want to get your thoughts on Tyra. Oh, he actually, wow, he actually responded really. He says Tyrod Taylor is a leader in the locker room. He's a good backup veteran. Tyrod Taylor is a guy if you would like to have on your team, but he's nothing more than a backup at this point. He doesn't have a really strong arm. He also doesn't really hurt you turning the ball over, but he's a pretty good locker room presence in the leader in that quarterback room. I appreciate you giving your thoughts as a Texans fan, Coach. Um,
Yeah, I think he
I've
nailed it.
liked Tyrod. Yeah,
he did.
I think that this was a really good analysis of Tyrod. I've liked Tyrod since his days at Buffalo, but I mean, and me and GOS were talking about this before the show kicked off. There's some things that I have with Tyrod Taylor. I'm not the biggest fan of how conservative he can be sometimes. GOS made a good point, which he doesn't throw receivers open. I mean, and I agree with you, Coach. It doesn't really hurt. He doesn't really hurt you turning the ball over. But I like my QBs to take chances. I can live if the interception is downfield. As opposed to the interceptions that we've been seeing with Jones of recent. Whether that's coming off of Ingram's hands, whether that's him throwing it to a defensive tackle against the Bucks. I mean, but I think this is a really good analysis of Tyrod Taylor. He also says he's a pretty good presence that you'll have on your team in case Daniel Jones struggles or goes down. I think this is an excellent point, Coach. I think that if Jones does go down, I think that you can kind of put Tyrod in there, and that I don't think you have to really change your system too much compared to last year when Jones went down. You really couldn't run that same system with Mike Glennon or Jake Fromm. I think that Tyrod can be that guy that again. I agree with you, coach. He's nothing more than a backup. I think the only chance he has of playing is if Jones gets hurt. What's going on, G Nation? Thanks for stopping by, bro. Great
What's going
stream
on, Lou?
earlier with Pat, man. Really great stream earlier. Y'all boys are killing that shit. But thanks for stopping by, bro. And one more comment. Coach says the only problem he has hamstring issues, but he's a guy when he's in the huddle, he's not afraid to hold people accountable, and he's going to make the right plays. I mean, you would love that in your quarterback. You would absolutely love that. But GOS, Big Blue Corner, let me get your thoughts, guys. I mean, what do y'all think of this Tyrod signing, man?
All
Who's
right,
going
so
first?
this is what I'll say. I got a question. Was he was there before Josh Allen came, correct?
Yeah, the year
I
before
believe
he
so,
took him to the
yes.
playoffs in Buffalo. Yeah.
Oh, and then Josh Allen was drafted the very next year.
Yep.
Okay. Dable wasn't around then. I don't think Dable was around then.
No sir.
Uh,
Nope.
okay.
Nope. Shane was.
Yeah, yeah. Here's a. I like Tyrod Taylor. I like the kid ever since he played in Virginia Tech. Um, he's he's got talent. He's a very talented quarterback. It just sucks that he hasn't really found a team that's willing to actually take a chance and go further with him. And if it boils down to where a lot of it has to do with injuries, well, it is what it is. Injuries are a part of this game, but if it limits you as far as your availability, that's going to really hurt you. Uh, I think it's a worthwhile signing because it adds competition to the locker room, gives as far as helping Jones to probably play better as far as competition being there. Second of all, we do not have to put up with State Farm and we don't have to put up with long neck Mike Lennon because their play was horrible. And any fan that was calling for those guys when Daniel Jones was struggling and when Daniel Jones went down, you saw exactly what we got. So I'm all for this signing because at least we have a competent veteran that can come in case DJ goes down, in case DJ's not playing, up to what Dable, considers, their standards. If Tyrod can come in and, give the team that spark to win some games down the road, so be it. If he can spark, give a spark under DJ's ass in training camp to help him, along the way and also, play better, so be it. I'm all for it. So I like the Tyrod Taylor signing. I really do.
Yeah, well, the truth of this is if the Giants cannot run the football next year, if the offensive line gives up sacks and pressure like they did, we won't see much of a difference from last year. The book is out on Tyrod Taylor. If you put pressure in his face, he is a bad quarterback. Now, if you can run the ball and you keep him on short, distant downs consistently, and you can keep the pressure out of his face consistently, he can win you games. Like we saw with Colt McCoy here. Obviously, he's a little bit better than Colt. He can, break a few tackles, make up for people miss in the backfield. But, he does have a better arm than I think he gets credit for. People say, but I've seen him off his back foot throw it 55, 60 yards down the field. So I think he can hit every pass. The problem is he's very indecisive. His feet is a mess. A mess. He barely ever steps into his throws down the field. Something we saw with Eli got that bad habit. Well, I think it's just a bad habit over time from playing behind bad offenses. So if the Giants them here, if Daniel Jones gets hurt and just get him consistently moving his feet the right way, he's good. I mean, he's a backup quarterback. He's going to miss wide open throws. He's just going to miss throws. He's going to miss reads. There's going to be center wide open. He's not going to be looking that direction. That's just what you're going to get. But I think if you can run the ball, you can protect them to win you 3-4 games in a 6-week stretch, I think you can get that if the team around him is good enough. But he is just a backup, and that's what I want people to understand. They saw that at $17 million, and their mind went, oh, that's it. He's the starter. That's it. Daniel Jones is no. First of all, it's a 2-year, $11 million. There was $6 million added on in incentives, that's how they got him cheaper. That's how they snatched him away from everybody. But them incentives, he's probably not going to reach. He needs to start a certain amount of games. He needs to win a certain amount of games. You got money in there for a playoff win, and then obviously there's other incentives playoff wise. But yeah, so he's just a backup, folks. Relax. He's not going to come in here. If you're a Daniel Jones supporter, he's not going to take Daniel Jones' job coming out of the season. Everybody can chill. It's just a regular backup. Everybody is so charged up with quarterbacks, man. It's funny.
Hey, have you seen all the? I don't know if you've seen it on the Twitter, but it's like so many tweets that I've gone on. I'm trying to see if I can't pull one up, but it was from
I don't go
yesterday.
on, man.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You should reconsider their GOS because the moment they signed Tyrod Taylor, the book was out on DJ as far as him being a starter. And then right after that is literally draft Malik Willis, draft Malik Willis. How do you equate the two? Like literally, and I don't want to get on that. I don't want to get on the Willis talk here. I really, really don't, because I was doing that on a stream.
Well, Corner, don't you think this is more about next year with the second year on his contract? Obviously, this second year makes this his first year cheaper. But don't you think this is more like this is definitely going to be Daniel Jones, and then next year Tyrod will be here to help out a rookie next year? I don't see where this implies Malik Willis this year at all. In
Well,
my
and
opinion.
that's what people were implying. But the thing is, if you look, I understand that scenario you just put out, but the other scenario is this: what if DJ does shine? What if this is his year and he actually goes out there and does what he's supposed to? What we're hoping. We want that DJ that we saw rookie year, but better. You still have a worthwhile backup that's there. The question is whether or not Joe Shane is going to throw the bag at him after for not after not picking up his 5th-year option. That's the big question. But for me, I'm not looking at it as a reason for us to go and draft any quarterback, let alone Malik Willis. I'm not looking at it in that perspective one bit. My perspective alone, get a competent backup in here that knows how to run an offense, who has the experience. Right. So that way, if DJ goes down or is not playing good, then you have a backup that's there. And if that's the case, you at least have set yourself up to where you have a veteran that's there, that's in place, that can play. You've probably already parted ways with DJ and you brought in a rookie and he can learn behind Tyrod Taylor. That's a really, really good scenario. And if that's how Joe Shane is looking at it, I commend him on that.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Look, man, I mean, I've been one to say that I think that the Tyrod signing could be the writing on the wall for DJ. I think that in some light they do believe in DJ, but I think that they look at the injury history. I think that they might look at some of his tape and say, okay, we need to make sure that if this guy goes down, that we don't have a situation of what we had last year, where, I mean, we weren't even scoring touchdowns last year. And I think that if DJ were to go down, I think that this is a quarterback that you don't really have to change much compared to last year again, where it's not the same game, where DJ goes down and you bring in a Mike Lennon. They can't do the same things. But for me, I think that Tyrod, he's a good backup. Again, I've liked him since he was a Buffalo Bill. I'm not a fan of how conservative he can be. That's actually my biggest issue with Marcus Mariota. But I think that you got to pay this kind of a money to have a serviceable backup, in my opinion.
Yep.
I don't think that you can go another league year having a Jake Fromm underneath the ball, or excuse me, on your roster just in general. I know some people will say, okay, now it means you draft Malik Willis. I don't see that. I'm gonna just be honest with you. I don't see that at all. I think that with him signing a 2-year deal, let's say they don't think that Jones is that guy. If they trade Jones next year, let's say to a QB needy team, and they select their quarterback in next year's draft, I mean, you got yourself the perfect bridge quarterback. Look at the Browns. They did that with him. You look at the Chargers. They did that with him.
Everybody
Yeah,
did it
you
with
look
him.
at the Texans. They did that with him. So it's like, for me, man, I mean, it's a good signing. I like it, especially since it's more incentive based. I like it even a little bit more. But I just think that, the Giants, and I've been saying this since, the beginning of, the season, the beginning of this year, where we can't go into this season not addressing the QB2 position, and I thought that Mitch Trubisky made sense. We're going to see what he gets over there with Pittsburgh. That didn't happen.
23 million.
Jesus Christ.
2 years, 23
Christ.
million if he hits his incentives. Yeah.
Jesus
so you got a little
Christ.
over 11.
Right. Yeah, go
Who's
ball
that?
out over Mitch Trubisky. Go ball
Oh,
out over
boy.
there, man. I'm good off that.
Well, the
if
thing is,
he doesn't
wanted to
start,
He
he'll get
wasn't going to start here.
I think it's 2 year, 14 million if he doesn't start. Like if he hits none of incentives, he gets 7 million a year. But
Jesus Christ, man. But still, I mean, hey, look, Pittsburgh needed a quarterback, so I can't knock them on that. But
Yep.
again, I think that you nailed it on the head coach again, and I appreciate you giving us your thoughts on it too. Serviceable, can be a nice locker room presence. He can hold your guys accountable, but he's a backup for a reason, guys. I mean, he's a journeyman for a reason. And again, if let's say Jones isn't the guy next year, you got yourself the perfect bridge quarterback.
we
Literally,
got bridge
you got
quarterbacks
yourself.
for the next 2 years, right? You got Daniel Jones for a
Exactly.
Yeah,
bridge this year, Tyrod
that's
Taylor
very
next year.
true.
Can
That's
I
very
comment on
true.
this though? Because I have actually a take on this.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
keep
Give me a
seeing
thought.
this. Daniel Jones needs to be pushed. it don't fit. It don't fit what I've heard from Daniel Jones. He's supposed to be the hardest worker, puts in all this work. Even players that have left, it ain't like they came out and said it's all phony. And then on top of that, I mean, this is Daniel Jones' last year to prove himself. He is going to be a backup quarterback for the rest of his career if he does not produce this year. What the hell? All right, with that fact, where does it push him anymore if Tyrod Taylor's in the building? I mean, I don't, maybe it's just something quick and easy to say or something, or just somebody just says, like, I don't know. I hear it all over, and it's just kind of like, I don't know. It fucking twists my tit a little bit. Like, come on. Don't you think it's more of a motivating factor that if this dude don't play good, he's going to be a backup the rest of his career? Oh, no, the difference is this a narrative I'm going to have to hear if Daniel Jones is good for the next 5 years? Because I'll fucking shoot myself.
I mean, I think it's worthwhile to have competition. I'm not
Sure.
saying that I'm not saying that he needs to have a fire lit under his ass, but I think healthy competition is going to probably help this kid get to where he needs to go and what he needs to be. I think a lot of that has to do with how he adapts to this new system, whatever system that Dable's going to run, and what they can do as far as putting the pieces around him so he can do what he needs to do. Look, we can all agree that he came into a very shitty situation. We can all agree on that. All right. Has Daniel Jones, disappointed us with his play in recent years? Yeah, to a certain extent. But I'm willing to see. I want to see what he can do with a competent O-line and a competent offensive scheme with competent play calling. That's the major thing. If he has all those three things, I get it. This is somewhat of a rebuild year. But the point being is you want to be able to see what you have in Daniel Jones. And if you fix what needs to be fixed around him, he has no choice but to be that guy. It's all on him. So he doesn't necessarily need a fire lit on his ass because he knows it's there. I'm pretty sure he sees comments and everything about him, whether it's in Twitter or on his Facebook or Instagram, who knows? I'm pretty sure he sees it. And he also knows that this is his last year that he can actually really show. So
doesn't that seem like a bigger motivator than Tyrod Taylor? Come on.
Yeah,
it does. It
does. Yeah, but just that little bit of extra, I don't know if whatever you want to call it, just for him to be like, you know what, I can possibly lose it because of this. You know what? I'm going out there and doing what I got to do. Yeah, Tyrod Taylor's sitting back there. Yeah, he's a backup. He's a veteran. But yeah, I'm younger. I can get this job done. Let me go out there and do it. He's got to he's got to convince himself about this, not alone anybody else. He's got to convince himself to do it.
I'll tell you, if Tyrod Taylor beats him out in camp, you trade him. You release him. I'm done. I'm done with him. That's the thing.
I knew that was coming. I had a feeling that was coming.
Nah, and in GOS, I'm actually there with you 100%. And I'm a big Daniel Jones fan. But if Tyrod Taylor beats him out at camp, ship that boy off. I don't give a damn.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done. I wash my hands of it.
100%, man. Coach says, I think it's Daniel Jones' make or break year. If he sucks this year, then you guys move on from them. That's part of putting pressure on him with Tyrod Taylor. And Tyrod Taylor is definitely the quarterback that could put a lot of pressure on him in training camp. I mean, yeah, I think that if anything, man, I think he puts more pressure than what Glennon and Fromm were putting combined. If I'm being real with you.
Exactly.
But
I think people are a lot lower on Jones than me. I guess because I just don't see where it's close.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, man. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I would honestly, if I'm Daniel Jones, for me, I would feel the pressure more from the media, the fans, not knowing where I'm gonna play next year, instead of it just being all Tyrod Taylor. For me personally, I
think Taylor is like a little bit better than Colt McCoy. So maybe people are just higher on Taylor than me. Because after I saw that Miami game last year, I've been kind of like, what
that
hell?
Miami game was horrible, man.
And that one throw down the sideline where he was throwing it away and just, oh my, that's a Daniel Jones play.
And it was embarrassing, man. When you look at that game, man, I mean, they lost 17-9. Tyrod Taylor was 24-43. 240 yards with 3 interceptions, man. Three
He missed like
interceptions.
4 wide open touchdowns.
Yeah,
He missed like 4 wide open
he didn't
touchdowns.
throw a
It
single
wasn't. It was.
touchdown this game.
He put up
Embarrassing.
9 points on Miami. He put up 9 points against Miami. That's exactly what like Jake Fromm put on my against Miami. So
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, and they blitzed them to hell. That's what I'm saying. That if we don't get an improvement in offensive line and pass protection, we're going to see the same things with Tyrod Taylor, and that's just the way it is. The team has to
Yep.
improve. We have to be better than how we were last year down the stretch, or this
that's
same
very true.
stuff is going to keep reappearing.
Absolutely, man. And again, I mean, even then, I don't see him being the starter. Can he? Can he push the guy? Sure. I think that that's definitely possible, especially if Jones gets injured. I think this guy could come in and really do something for us. Nothing crazy, but he can go win you a game possibly. But again, he's not your long term answer. Maybe for another year if you go draft another quarterback, he is. Um, but hey, what's going on, Mark? Thanks for stopping by, man. Thank you. Um, but again, man, I just see a lot of people making a huge deal out of this, man. Again, and you and Big Blue Corner, you're on Twitter as much as I am, man. We've been seeing some crazy ass comments on the internet in regards to this signing, man. Like
We can't
Jesus.
even back
Oh
a
yeah.
quarterback without just a ridiculous amount of controversy. It's unbelievable the way it is here in New York.
I'm telling you, man, it's like I said, the biggest one that I saw was like, how do you equate because we got Tyrod Taylor, draft Malik Willis?
Yeah,
How did you
I
link
don't
those
see
two
that.
things?
G Nation, I'll be there. No problem, man. Send me the stream. I'm so sorry I haven't been able to make your streams recently. I just been mad busy, but send me the stream. I'll be there tonight, man.
Now,
But
Coach
I
Dante
agree with
made a
you.
good. Coach Dante made a very thing. He was coming off of an injury. You know, he was injured majority of that year. So, again, it was a good opportunity for, Davis Mills to step up and step in and step up and do what he's got to do. So, again, he's a backup for a reason, but he was literally, I mean, at the season highlight Coach Dante at 628. He was the hottest quarterback in the NFL at the time, at the beginning of the season. He was,
Well, the most
but
passing touchdowns he's ever had in a season is 18 in 2016.
yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, that's what
So,
we have here, and that was his best season. Yeah, he graded out good PFF wise, but that's because they give huge grades for running. When a quarterback runs, it makes the grades go unbelievably stupid.
yeah.
So I mean, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at the way. I don't know. I'm trying to compare a quarterback to him. What's 18 touchdowns? 18 touchdowns. It stands for itself. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, no. You're 100% right, man. And for me, it's like, again, he's not gonna come in and be that guy that's gonna outright win the position. He's not gonna be that guy that's gonna come in and throw for 30 touchdowns. I mean, him and Mariota, I put them in the same class. I'm gonna just be honest with you. I think that they're good backup quarterbacks. They're not Mariota. I'm not gonna say that he's a journeyman quarterback, but I think if he does go on his third team, at that point he kind of has that tag on him. But they're journeyman quarterbacks. They're good backup quarterbacks that you would want as a backup in case your starter goes down.
Yep.
They're quarterbacks that if you draft a young rookie quarterback, you would want them to be the starter so that your quarterback can learn underneath them and you could slowly transition your young rookie quarterback. But again, I just been seeing some crazy ass comments on Twitter in regards to the signing, and some of them, same thing what you were saying, Big Blue Corner, in regards to us just drafting, Malik Willis and how this makes sense. To me, it doesn't make sense. I like Malik Willis. I think that he has upside to him. That's a whole conversation in itself. But I'm not trying to take a quarterback this year.
No, absolutely not. It'd be a waste of a draft pick. And on that note, the crazy thing about it, where this draft is playing out in the way it is because what did you see at the beginning of free agency? It was basically a rush for backup for these QBs. A
Yeah,
rush. At some point, fans, you gotta pay attention to what's going on. You have to look at things from a different perspective. Just because these guys are picking up quarterbacks left and right, to tell you something right then and there. This quarterback draft, this class is not good.
Hmm.
If it was good, you wouldn't really see a whole bunch of scrambling for a quarterback because it's something that can be done in a draft. But these
You
guys
know
are
what you see?
scrambling,
A team or two
scrambling.
moving up like every year. Look, San Francisco moved up way before the draft last year before, what the Jets moved or whatever. Just every year, there's
Yeah,
a couple teams that move way up in the top five, and that's when you know there's a good quarterback class.
Yeah,
thank you, thank you.
yeah,
So, I mean, you got to the fans have got to literally. You don't build a team from the outside in. You build it from the inside out, which is something that we got away from. We were picking up, flashy pieces like Saquon, and that's my favorite player. But I'll say it how it is. Picking up these guys, and you're not addressing the core main issue.
it's
Joe
true.
Shane did that. Okay, I do not see, and I would debate this with anybody. Why would you spend valuable draft capital on a QB who is a project when you have bigger concerns on your team? You're not just a QB away.
It's
You're
true.
many different pieces away from being a good team. The QB should be the last thing that you go out there and get. And you better be damn sure that he's a number one, I'm sorry, not number one, a round one pick for your team because you don't want to reach for a quarterback like we did, quote unquote, with DJ, but you don't want to reach and you don't want to make a second mistake if Daniel Jones turns out to be a bust and you're saying that he was a reach at 6. Now you're going to do it, double down on it again in 2022 and draft
Really,
one of these quarterbacks. It makes no sense. Why would you do it? And if Joe Shane, I like the guy. I like the things what he's done so far. If he goes ahead and does that, and this kid, whoever they draft, is a bust, he deserves to be fired. He deserves it because you just wasted valuable draft. I get it. It's one draft pick, but that draft pick can literally haunt you for years, as y'all have basically seen. Not necessarily DJ, but it's haunted us.
if
Bad
you're a GM,
draft.
you can't right
Go
corner. If
ahead,
you're a
US.
GM, if you're a GM, you cannot when it's time to renegotiate your contract. That is something you cannot defend. If you take a quarterback in the top 10 and you miss, you can't defend it. Unless you're one like a San
Very
Francisco
true.
team, just a quarterback away where you're still making the playoffs and getting a championship game. If you're just missing on the playoffs every year and you missed on your quarterback, you are not going to get your contract renewed. It ain't going to happen.
Very true.
It's the killer for a GM. You gotta hit your guy. You could say you can say it's a mistake after the first year and draft a quarterback the second year in a row, but
Hmm.
that's a tough thing to do when you got holes all over through your team.
That's a good point, and that's what I keep saying is that I just feel that even if you don't think that Jones is your guy, fix this offensive line, get you some more pieces on defense, make sure that you got yourself a nice tight end, players that could stay healthy, and then go bring in your guy. It's just if you let's say you do draft Malik Willis, okay, fine. You still don't have an offensive line. You still got holes on this offensive line. You still need to go get a tight end. You still have other pieces on this roster that you got to take care of first. So I just feel that in a draft where we have 9 picks, potentially more picks, if especially if we could trade back, go fill up those holes on those rosters. And guess what? If you don't think that Jones is your guy, if you're not sold on Tyrod Taylor being here for another year, that's fine. Build your foundation first, and that I want to highlight this. Build your foundation first, and then go get your guy next year because I just feel that none of these quarterbacks in this draft, in my honest opinion, are better than what we have in Daniel Jones at the moment.
You
What's
need
that?
stability for these young quarterbacks, man. That's
Very
how
true.
90% of these quarterbacks fail. They come into poor situations. And well, here, all right, you take your quarterback first, and then you don't build a team properly after. It's a killer. You're a
It is.
perpetual bad team on a quarterback who's trying to learn. If you at least got the team, then you know the quarterback's in the right situation, stable. You're going to see what that quarterback is. You're going to get them that you can. And listen, the way the quarterbacks are being traded nowadays, I have to work could actually go into something. into a situation, say, oh, we need to trade up to the top 10, top five to get a quarterback. You could just trade for a quarterback, period. And you say, oh, that's a lot of money, big cap. Understand, when you make a trade, all the guaranteed money is gone off the top. So like these quarterbacks that are making 50 million a season, yeah, by the time you trade them, they're coming to you, they're making 30 million a season. That 20 million at the top, the other team that traded them had to pay off. So you're getting good veteran quarterback play for cheap, way less, way below market value. So you don't necessarily have to attack quarterback in the draft. Build the damn team. Just get the team fixed and ready to go. Then you worry about the quarterback. That's my philosophy. It's worked for Pittsburgh for years. It's worked for Green Bay for years. All the best teams have consistently been great with quarterbacks. That's the route they went.
You're right. And I'll piggyback off of that too as well. Look at what Denver had to give up to get Russell Wilson. They gave up a lot to get that guy. Why? Because they felt that they were one player away from making, to making the playoffs, and if not going further. And I'm pretty sure you guys heard the news as far as, last year during the season, why don't we trade for Russell Wilson towards the end of the season? It's the same exact situation. Why would you set yourself up? Why would you set your franchise back for who knows how many years by going after a guy like Russell Wilson, knowing that you got to give up a lot? Well, we didn't know at that time, but we damn sure know now what you had to give up. You know what you got to give up for Deshaun Watson. That was put out there months ago. I like it to the same situation where you go in and draft the QB for no reason at all. Again, JOS, he made a valid point. You bring in a quarterback in a situation that is bad. Now, depending on that quarterback, and if he can, rise up above that and push forward, fine. But you're only as good as the players that surround you. Case in point, look at Deshaun Watson. He was putting up big numbers, and yet his team went 4-13 when he was there. Fast forward to this past season, the Houston Texans went 4-13 without Deshaun Watson. What does that tell you? Good quarterback, bad team. So it makes no sense to sit up here and draft a quarterback in this draft for any reason whatsoever, because to me, you're just wasting valuable draft capital that you can put towards something else.
Yeah, that's very true. I agree with you, man. What's going on, Slay? I just wanted to let the guys talk before I say anything. What's going on, Slay? Thanks for stopping by, man. I appreciate you making time out of your day to stop by. And I appreciate that, Coach. Subscribe to these guys if you haven't already. Their links are in the description. I just put them in the chat. Lou, I'm gonna send
I
you a link
appreciate that,
right.
Coach Dante. Oh,
I'm
sorry,
gonna
there's
send you a
HITSQUAD.
link. No, you good, man. I'm gonna send you a link right now, brother. And Coach, if you would like to come on and talk, I'm gonna DM you the link as well. I'd love to have you come in and give your thoughts, man, especially on Tyrod. So I'm gonna send you the link if you'd like to come on. Lou, check your DMs. I'm about to send you it right now. All right. But yeah, so that just got sent to you guys just now. Um so hopefully one of if not both of you guys can stop by and say what's up. Um but yeah, nah, man. Again, for me, I just don't think that this is your year that you get that quarterback. I think right now, at a worst case scenario, you have two bridge quarterbacks, if anything. Um, and just fix the trenches. I just think that at this point, you can win some games with Daniel Jones, especially if he could stay upright. You can win some games with Tyrod Taylor if Jones isn't in the lineup due to injury. I just feel that right now you got to focus on this offensive line, focus on the defensive line, and just go from there. And if you believe that your guys in next year's draft, or if you believe that your guy isn't on this roster, just again, that's fine. But for me, just build the foundation. Um, Actually, with breaking news, since shit we on here, Von Miller is signing with the Buffalo Bills. That's hey, if I'm a Bills fan, man, I mean I'm liking that signing, man. I think that that's a big time pass rusher for you guys. So congratulations. Oh shit! I didn't see that both y'all were muted. Um, but yeah, nah. Again, hopefully we're gonna have some guys call through. If you guys would like to come in and give your guys' opinions, by all means, I'm gonna drop the link below so you guys could stop by. And hopefully we could get some people to stop by.
Yo.
Yo, yo. All right. This is a question by DMAC Warrior. He's asking the panel, Daniel Jones over or under 30 touchdowns next year. What do y'all think?
I'll take the over.
Ooh, okay, okay. You know what? I'm gonna be honest with
So
you.
it's
I'm
a
gonna join you
wait.
there. I'm gonna take.
Is
I'm gonna take
passing
the over.
combined with running? Is
Yeah,
passing
no,
combined with
that's a
rushing?
good question. DMAC, is it just throwing, or are we talking about in total? Let us know. I'm definitely taking the over though.
If
But let us know your
if he
thoughts
stays
below.
healthy, if he stays healthy, I'd say he could get over with combined. But I mean, I wouldn't ask too much at it. We might have like two rookies on the offensive line. It's possible. So you might not see the best production through the air.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. But I don't know. I think that I wouldn't be shocked, honestly, if he threw over to 30 touchdowns. In
No, he's
total, though, I
capable.
wouldn't be shocked either. Oh, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay, gotcha. He says passing, but let's do both running and passing as well. Okay. So passing, for me, I think that he's absolutely capable of throwing 30. If we're talking both, absolutely. So for me, again, I got to choose the under. Excuse me, the over with Rodney.
Yeah, if it's under 30 passing, I'm probably leaning more towards under, just because we've never seen these receivers on a team stay healthy. It's just the whole time Daniel
Very
Jones has been
true.
here. So yeah, I'm probably gonna go under, not because of Daniel Jones, but just because of the surroundings. I'd say it's prep. If he plays a whole season, I think I think I'm like 27, 28. That's where I kind of view him. But I mean, there's always going to be 3 or 4 rushing touchdowns. I think 30 is a really good number. I feel like that's right around where he'll land.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But hold on, real quick, because this is insane. Uh, they released the details for the deal for Von Miller. Ain't no way in hell this is a 6-year deal worth 120 million.
Wow.
Ain't
What?
no way. This is a 6-year, $120 million deal for
I
Von
love
Miller to
Von
the
Miller, but
Bills.
that's completely idiotic.
That's
Where's he going?
overpay us to the Bills.
What?
That's
So
insane.
so basically, the Rams rented him for a year.
Yeah,
Well, he
he
played
Wow.
great
got
down the stretch, man.
Yeah, he did. He did. He did. It's just I'm not. I just can't understand it.
yeah, man. Neither can I.
You-
And we
You'd
got
have to give him all
coaches.
the guaranteed money the first 2 years of the contract, then you can get out from under it. Because that's if Joe Shane
Exactly.
made that signing, I'd be calling for his job right now.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a lot of damn money. What's going on, Coach? Thanks for stopping by, brother. How you
Man,
been?
anytime, man. How y'all doing today, man? How y'all doing
Yeah.
today?
How's it going there,
Good,
Coach?
good,
How's it
man.
It's
going?
going
Good.
great, man. It's going great.
Bro, you was dropping some real shit in the chat, man. And for the people, in case they're listening and they can't be in the chats, I mean, I really want to hear your thoughts again on Tyrod if you can. What
Yeah.
should we expect from him, man?
You can spend nothing but a backup role from Tyrod Taylor, but he's one of those guys that, he's a leader in the locker room. He loves to hold everybody accountable. When he's in the huddle, you can see that fire and that passion and putting guys in the right places and where they're supposed to be. Uh, don't forget, man, the guy was in Buffalo. He was a pretty solid quarterback. He had a bunch of 20 touchdown seasons to 4 or 6 interceptions. He led them Buffalo to the playoffs. Even though they lost against the Jaguars, but he still led Buffalo to the playoffs, and that team hasn't been to the playoffs in a decade. And he led that team to the playoffs. And then with the Chargers, he was out on a puncture lung. The doctor punctured his lung, and that ended his pretty much tender with the Chargers. But then with Houston, he comes over here Everybody thought the Jaguars was gonna beat us. We steamrolled them because of his mobility in the pocket to escape pressure at times. And then it could go into week 2 against Cleveland. He was 11 for 11. I mean, flat out balling. Outplayed Baker Mayfield. Before that last touchdown, he tweaked his hamstring, and after that, he go into Miami, which is a winnable game. They had the same record, I believe, we had, which is 1-9, which is like 1-7, I believe, 1-7, 1-6. Defense forced 5 turnovers, but the problem is he threw three or 4 interceptions. He lost a step. He lost pretty much a step. He wasn't the same. He couldn't read the field all of a sudden. Then the very next week we played the Jets. We up 14-3. All of a sudden the offense is non-existent. I think he took a step back after he, got that hamstring injury, and that kind of broke a little rhythm. And then that's when we went on with Davis Mills, who finished the season very, very strong. But Tyrod Taylor is a leader in that locker room that you like to have, man. And I think, if Daniel Jones, somehow struggles or he gets injured, Tyrod Taylor is a perfect guy to have in that locker room. He won't turn the ball over. He doesn't have a strong arm, but he does with a pretty not so good offensive line that the Giants have. His mobility, to extend plays will kind of help that offensive line afloat. But Tyrod Taylor, man, he's an ultimate professional, and he's a quarterback that you will love in that locker room, and especially in that quarterback room.
Gotcha. No, and I appreciate you letting us know, man, because we've been seeing some. I mean, me and Big Blue Corner, man, on Twitter, we've been seeing some crazy talk with some Giants fans in the community. Some believe that he can be the starter. Some believe that he could come in and with him being signed to the Giants, this means the Giants should go out and get Malik Willis now. So I mean, I've liked him since the Bills, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that he's a good backup quarterback. He's a nice
Yeah.
bridge quarterback. But for me, man, it's just the only way I see this guy beating out, and I'm not even going to say beating out. The only way I can see this guy starting is if Jones were to get injured, whether
Yep.
that's a week, maybe 2 weeks, and he comes in and beats the starter, man. But I really see a lot of fans making a big deal of this, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't dislike the signing. I like the signing a lot actually, because Jake Fromm was terrible for us last year. Mike
Mm-hmm.
Glennon was terrible for us last year. I mean, coach, there was a point in our league, in our season last year, where we couldn't score touchdowns.
I
It was
know.
embarrassing.
The only thing wasn't the offensive lineman had the receiving touchdown, right?
Yeah, Andrew Thomas.
Yep.
Andrew Thomas.
Remember that.
It was bad, and it's like, if we're talking about from a backup standpoint, and I guess in a sense, pushing DJ. I mean, I think you got your guy, because we weren't going to land Mitch Trubisky, that a lot of fans, including myself, thought that we were going to. But I mean, and this is a good question here by Jaden Alvis. He says, "Coach, can Tyrod beat DJ out?" I mean,
No.
do you think so from what you saw?
No. Think he's a backup quarterback. I just think it's like, if you go back to later in his career, I would say yes, he can beat DJ, but now no, he's just there to be backup, to be the emergency backup in case something happened to DJ, or if he's not playing well, then you can throw Tyrod Taylor in. Right now, he's just a backup at this stage of his career. One thing you guys got to worry about is just the hamstring. He has a hamstring injuries a lot, and when he's playing good, he's the type of quarterback that will slip up and he will get hurt. His hamstring will go out. That's what happened last year against Cleveland. I mean, out playing Baker Mayfield, we had the defense playing well. I mean, Baker Mayfield had that shoulder injury since we played him week 2. He had that shoulder injury since week 2 when we banged him up. And Tyrod Taylor, all of a sudden in the first half, tweaked his hamstring. After that, he was really no more the same. But no, he's not. You don't have to worry about Daniel Jones. The only thing that Daniel Jones controls his own play. He controls himself. He controls his own play and controls what he does. Tyler, he doesn't need to worry about Tyler. Oh, this guy can beat. I got a lot of pressure on this guy beating me out, because at the end of the day, I know Daniel. To see if Daniel Jones is that guy, I believe Tyrod Taylor can kind of push him to see if he can really be the leader of this team going forward. And that's how I just value. That's how I value it. I mean, again, this is Daniel Jones is on his last leg after this year. If he fails, the Giants can go get another quarterback easy. The Giants can go get another quarterback easy. So this is a make or break year for Daniel Jones. And if Daniel Jones feel like he got to look over his shoulder and say and think, oh man, Tyrod Taylor is right there behind me. He doesn't need to worry about focusing on coming in, doing what you got to do, and being a leader of this team and lead this team to where they need to go. He doesn't need to worry about looking over his shoulder at Tyrod Taylor, because if he does, then he's going to get out there and start making some mistakes and second guessing himself, and that will lead to his ultimate demise.
Shit. Damn.
Go.
Yeah, man. I mean, y'all heard it first, man, from Coach. And exactly, Mark. Talk your talk, man. I mean,
I know this because the same situation in Houston, Tom Savage was promised to start a quarterback job. He got the job, and he had a terrible first half against Jacksonville. After that, Deshaun Watson comes in. We get points on the board, and after that, Bill O'Brien mind was made up. Hey, I'm starting Deshaun Watson. Houston takes off ever since then. After that. So I know it's a lot of pressure on Daniel Jones to perform out there, but at the same time, you got to do what you got to do on the practice field. You got to just do what you got to do, man. You just can't look at, Tyrod Taylor's coming in for a backup situation, but at the end of the day, a lot of pressure is on Daniel Jones. He's got to get out there and perform, or if he don't, you got Tyrod Taylor that's gonna come in there soon, or the Giants will be finding another quarterback or some next year's in the draft, because the quarterback class next year is going to be loaded for next year. CJ Stroud, Bryce Young. So Daniel Jones don't need to think about looking forward. He needs to think about right now. If he thinks about looking forward, then that's what's going to come into play right there. You're going to start seeing a lot of struggles and stuff right there, man. So Daniel Jones just got to not focus on Tyrod Taylor, just focus on Daniel Jones right now.
Van Dyke in Miami next year too is another big name that could probably.
Yep.
It's probably
I like
gonna
Van
pop off.
Dyke a lot. I like Van Dyke a lot. I mean,
the kid out of
Stroud's
Florida,
nice too.
The kid out of Florida, Richardson, another guy. So
yeah, we could have 5-6 quarterbacks coming out next year.
Yeah, you got CJ Stroud from Ohio State too, as well.
I mean, put it to you like this: if we draft any quarterback out of this year's draft without looking ahead to who's possibly coming out, I mean, come on, that's being a bit short-sighted, because I mean, with the exception, and I don't say this very weakly, with the exception of Kenny Pickett, I don't see any of these guys starting day one. And I say that loosely because Kenny Pickett and the tape that I watched on him, he is way better than Malik Willis. Not taking anything away from Willis. Yeah. He's better. But it'll be very short-sighted if we even look at a quarterback or entertain the thought of drafting a quarterback this year. It's very short-sighted.
Yeah. Kenny Pickett
I like Corral.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett's the only one in this draft class that probably can start right now, day one. He's the only one in the draft class probably day one that can get on the field, that's ready to get on the field.
Well, I like Matt Corral, but he's undersized, and if you draft Matt Corral, it's kind of like the same thing as when we draft Daniel Jones. They're similar prospects, other than the size. So yeah, I mean, you're reaching.
Yeah. Hey, HITSQUAD, can you highlight the last one? D-Mac Warrior. Hey, Coach, this is for you right here. Coach, do the Texans need a quarterback? I know a team that got a good one for a third. I like that one there, D-Mac.
I'm assuming you're talking about James Bradbury. I'm assuming.
Yes,
we don't need a cornerback. We just signed our cornerback back Desmond King, and I think we're gonna look for another cornerback in the draft. I'll be fine with that. I'll be fine with that. Yeah, but if James Bradbury want to lose and rebuild, come on, don't mind.
Y'all lost your safety, didn't you?
Oh yeah, Justin Reed. We lost him to Kansas City. We lost him, but he's a tier 2 type safety too, though. He's pretty good though. He's pretty good. He's a thumper. He's
not bad.
He's not bad. He's good.
What's going on, Taj? Thanks for stopping by, man. How you been?
What's up, Taj?
What's up, Taj?
What's
My
good?
guy.
How y'all doing, bro?
Yeah. Shailen, we talking, a little bit of football here. While we have you here, what's been your favorite signing so far? by the G-men, and then I got a question for Coach I want to ask. But
All
what's
right.
what is your favorite signing so far?
Oh, for the Giants.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Mark Lewinsky from the Colts. That's been my favorite signing. I think he's going to
Likewise.
be a good starter for us.
Yeah, no,
I really
I
think he's going
agree.
to be a good starter for us. In the right guard position.
Yeah,
He
he's
graded
I
out
think,
better than Quentin Nelson. You believe that last year?
which is
Wow.
insane.
Oh, for
It's
real?
insane.
Yeah, he was.
Then he
I think he
then
was
he
the highest graded on the
then he
team.
yeah then he graded like a 77, like a 77,
71. 71.
71.
The
That's
Uh,
still
I
pretty
think the
good.
previous year he graded a 77, or 3 years ago he graded 77. So yeah, last
oh,
year was 71. Year before that 67. Year before that he was 77. So
I mean,
I got this shit
yeah, I mean, like
memorized.
if you, I mean, like, when you're coming from an offensive line that's one of the best in the league,
Yep.
hey, like that's a win
Very
for us,
true.
bro.
Yes,
Yep.
sir. But coach, the question I got here for you is actually by Jaden again. He says, "Do the Texans need a quarterback? Maybe Malik Willis." What do you think,
No.
man? Actually, I
No.
really want to know. Do fans really believe in Davis Mill? Is that like the
I
answer for
mean, I
y'all right
don't
now?
think fans believe in Davis Mills that much, man. But like I said, if you go back and watch some tape on Davis Mills and later in that season, how his pocket progression he got better and how he's able to throw some goddamn dimes at receivers like Chris Moore and Chris Conley, and man, the guy that was amazing. Even a receiver is emerging. I think he's going to have a bigger year than he had last year. Nico Collins out of Michigan, the big 6'5" four-round receiver, and Brevin Jordan. I mean, Davis Mills was throwing some dimes in later stage of the season. Early stage of the season, yeah, he had to figure it out. He had to figure it out. That's what any rookie quarterback, you're gonna have some bumps and bruises, and it's gonna take you some time to figure out coverages. But I thought Davis Mills really, really done a great job, man. I mean, like I say, a 67 completion percentage, very high completion percentage, man. The second best rookie over Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, better than those guys right there. That's a very good win for Davis Mills. So I don't think the Texans need to draft the quarterback. If they do draft the quarterback, it will be in a later stage, like the fourth or third round. But I think and Lovie Smith them already came out and said Davis Mills is the guy. Davis Mills is going to be the guy. We just waiting on today's Deshaun Watson decision and those draft picks that we're going to get, which is we may get some good compensation out of those picks and stuff. But we're just waiting. We just waited on the Deshaun Watson move. And I think Davis Mills
Who you
is quarterback. I think he's. I don't think he's the guy. I don't know if he's the guy for the future. I can't elaborate on if he's the guy for the future. I don't want to say he's not going to be the guy, but Davis Mills was very good for us last year.
who do you think the Texans are taking with their first pick? Because I think it's going to be a tackle.
Honestly, I think I want who I want. It could be a tackle, it could be an offense, a line, but honestly, I want Kyle Hamilton, the safety out of Notre Dame.
Hmm.
That's who I want.
That would be really nice for the Texans. I'm not gonna lie.
That'd be perfect for the Giants
That'd
too.
be
Shit.
That would be.
really
Which
that'd be really good for the
that
Texans.
leads that leads me to this, and then we have another Texans question as well. But before I get to that, Anthony
Mhm.
Barker says, "Who else for the Giants are they going to pick up? Do y'all have anyone in mind that you could see them picking up in free agency, whether that's small? What do y'all think?
If Jerry Hughes drops, like if Jerry Hughes don't get signed the first month of free agency or something, and his price comes down to where they could work something out and give him like a 2-year deal, and then just basically make the front of the first year cheap, I could see that. He's only a third down pass rusher, but he would be a great help for third and longs on this defense.
Yep.
Yeah, we need all the help that we can get, man. I would say Jerry Hughes is one. For me, I definitely see that. I could see them potentially maybe picking up a depth corner that maybe gets cut from the Ravens. I could see them maybe picking up. I don't know what his
Jimmy
market
Smith.
is right now. I was gonna say Byron Pringle. I don't know what his market is at the moment.
Yeah.
With all these receivers getting these contracts, I mean, the overpaid a Christian work. Excuse me, to what is
Christian
it? Christian
Kirk.
Kirk? Yeah, I said Christian
That's
Worth.
stupid.
Man,
Christian
that was
Kirk.
crazy.
I mean, you paid 18 mil a year for a receiver that's never had over 1,000 yards in his career. That
I
is
get
would
it's got the
definitely
upside, but
overpaid.
jeez.
I would say
They never
for
had double
me
digit touchdowns.
on my end, probably Dante Fowler Jr. will be a good piece. From on the defensive line. I mean, if y'all don't like, y'all can sign him to a one. I think he's going to be really really cheap. And if he doesn't kind of perform a little bit, you guys got the right to move on for him. But I believe Dante Fowler Jr. on a on a cheap deal, I believe it will probably work for the Giants on a cheap deal.
Well,
Jimmy
I got
Smith
some
as
news for
well.
you
That's
guys.
another name people keep talking about.
Yeah, I got some news for you guys. Okay, so the Raiders are releasing defensive end Carl Nassib.
Carl
Oh,
Nassib.
Oh
Nassib.
yeah, I heard
Yeah.
that.
You call
Yeah,
Nassib, yeah. And
Carl
there's
Nassib.
another. I'm not sure of the team. I'm trying to find it right now. There's another tight end that's going to be out there as far as free agency, but I think he's going to be a post June 1st cut. I'm trying to find it right now, but I mean, there's a lot of people coming up as far as, you know, potential players as far as what we need. And I mean, we need a tight end.
I
And
keep hearing OJ Howard.
he gone. He just signed with the Bills. 1
Oh,
year,
did
$8.5
he? Okay.
million.
Yeah,
Yep, he just
yeah.
signed.
They just got Von
Okay.
Miller and OJ Howard too.
Von Miller for 6 years, 120 mil.
The overpay. Jesus.
That's
That wasn't
ridiculous.
bad.
No way he's there for 6 years.
But that's definitely a good question, Anthony. I appreciate you asking it. DMAC has a good question for you, Coach. He says, do you think the Texans will trade from 3, and what pick do the Giants trade?
If the Giants will trade any pick, I think they would trade a 7th pick. I think they
I
would
agree
trade
with
probably the 7th pick. But anything can happen for the Houston Texans. Like I said, we need every position that we can. We need running backs. We need receivers, corner. We need a cornerback. I can see Houston trade down from that position. But if Houston gets a top pick in the top 10, another pick in the top 10, which is very much could happen, depends on the decision that Watson goes to. I don't see them trading the pick. I see them picking twice in the top 10. I see them picking twice in the top 10.
Take your tackle
Okay.
or edge rusher. You got premium players right there that are worth the pick. Texas should not trade.
That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't trade the pick. I wouldn't actually trade it anyway.
Okay. No, I like that answer. Because I was always curious to see if the Texans would trade it. I know that Kayvon's been linked to y'all a little bit. I'm not
Yep.
sure about now. If y'all would take him. I mean, I know that you want Hamilton. I mean, you said that. Do you see them taking tackle at this point, or?
I can see Texans taking anything, at this point. We adjusted our offensive line a little bit too in the offseason with Justin Britt and AJ. It's AJ something. I forgot that dude's name. Started with a C. But yeah, we got 2 offensive linemen in this free agency. But I mean, it wouldn't, like I say again, I would be really, really okay with taking us a Evan Neal or a Kwanu. I would be okay with that. I would not be mad at all about that. I mean, we need help all over the place.
Yeah, shit. Okay, I like that answer for sure.
Well, if the Jags draft Aid Hudson, you got to have somebody to block his ass.
That's true. Yeah. I mean,
Giannis ain't
let
in
me
the vision,
get
so.
your thoughts real quick, Coach. I mean, how from a Texans fan's perspective, I mean, the Jaguars are making crazy signings, man.
Yeah.
I mean, is that really a threat to y'all? I mean, because I like some of the pieces that y'all have over there.
Yep. I mean, the Jaguars, I mean, they overpaid for 2 players, but at the end of the day, I understand that they're trying to get better. They're trying to get better. When you're a desperate team that's trying to get better, that's trying to get up there with the AFC, that's trying to get up there, with the Indianapolis Colts, that's trying to get up there with the Tennessee Titans with Derrick Henry. I don't blame them for making those moves. And Doug Peterson is definitely has some say-so over there as well, because he has some say-so. He didn't have a say-so over there in Philadelphia. He has say-so now. So he's the priority why most of these players are signing. But again, I still think we're going to be a scrappy team this year. We was a scrappy team last year. We forgot. Last year, we stopped the Chargers from getting in the playoffs. We stopped the Chargers. Yep. Literally, the Chargers didn't make the playoffs because of that game right there. You wouldn't be talking about a Raiders clinch-in game if it weren't for the Texans beating the Chargers. The Chargers would have already clinched the next week against the Denver Broncos if they would have beat us. So again, we're gonna be a scrappy team to play again this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, I'm really interested to see how that division plays out. I thought that last year, even despite all the injuries that the Titans faced, I thought it was impressive that they got the number one seed. But I wasn't really sold on them being the number one seed. If I'm being honest with you, they didn't feel like
Yeah,
a number one seed team. Again, I like the plays that you guys have over there. I really like Lovey Smith as a coach.
yeah,
To be
I love
honest
it.
with you, I hope
Yeah,
that y'all could keep him for years to come. And
hmm
I'll be honest with you, I really wanted Pep Hamilton before we got Mike Kafka.
yeah,
I really like Pep Hamilton as a coach.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I want to see Davis Mills' progression, honestly, because I thought that how Davis Mills played with Pep Hamilton being in his ear. I
yeah,
mean, I really, really am excited to see how that offense looks next year.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
Pep
I got a
Hamilton
question
been
for
big.
Coach.
Yes, sir.
I was just going to ask you about that. How do you feel as far as the progression as far as Davis Mills with Pep Hamilton? How do you see that going?
I see that. I see it. I see it going really, really well. I see the momentum is picking back off of last year. It's good to have a great guy that's now the offensive coordinator of the Houston Texans and Pep Hamilton. He knows how to work with quarterbacks. I mean, he goddamn took Matt Castle. They went 10-6. They went 10-6 when Tom Brady blew out his knee against Kansas City Chiefs. They went 10-6 in New England. So this guy has this guy knows how to work with quarterbacks, and I like Pep Hamilton, man. I like Pep Hamilton a lot. He's going to be a huge addition, for Davis Mills, and he done a great job with Davis Mills and this offense. He's going to do great with this offense. He's going to use players the right way, and Brevin Jordan is an emerging tight end that burst on the scene late last year. He didn't get much time, but he's going to get a lot of time this year. He was used well in the offense. I mean, Nico Collins, a big body type receiver that is very good. He's a possession receiver pretty much. And Chris Moore, pretty much a special teamer, had a pretty good year last year. And, Chris Conley was pretty good. So, again, I'm excited about having Pep Hamilton as the offensive coordinator of the Houston Texans. And I see this offense definitely improving.
Gotcha.
Good point.
Hey,
that's a good answer, man. Shit.
so I got an update as far as the Von Miller contract. Von Miller, 6-year, 120 million max value Buffalo Bills contract, has a $53 million payout in first 3 years, 32 mil fully guaranteed at signing, 52 million in total guarantees. So, technically speaking, it's a 3-year, $53 million contract. All that other stuff is
Yeah.
pretty much incentive based money on top of that contract. So, hey,
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
Jesus
what
Christ.
can you say, man?
Yeah, I guess it's not entirely bad, but I mean, 3 years. What you said, 52 million. I mean,
That's a bit better.
yeah. I mean, that's not. It's not
It's
entirely
not too
terrible.
bad.
I'm not gonna throw a fit on that. I just think that, man. I mean, that's a lot for an aging Von Miller. If we were talking about, when he won the Super Bowl with the Broncos, Von Miller, sign me the hell up. But nah, at least for me, I can't, man. It's a lot for 32-year-old linebacker. But
Well, hey, I'll be perfectly honest with you. Basing, looking at how stacked the AFC is right now, could you really blame them?
no,
I
I
mean, you
can't.
got
I can't.
Russell Wilson, you got what is it, Justin Herbert,
Justin
you
Herbert.
know, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, come on now. The AFC is stacked as far as QBs is concerned.
Yep.
You need all the help you can get.
Yeah,
For real.
and we didn't
Joe
even
Burrow
mention
over there.
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar
In
Jackson.
Baltimore, yeah, exactly.
That
Joe
team would have
Burrow.
been a playoff team if their cornerbacks and their whole secondary wasn't hurt. That team could have been a playoff team.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I agree
Oh, yeah.
100%, man. But look, we are going to close this out here. I didn't see that we were at almost 2.5 hours, but we are going to close this out here,
You know
Coach.
we can keep going, man. You know we can keep going. Come on now.
All right, that's fine. You know what? Let's keep going though. Let's keep going.
No,
I'm
no.
used to us. I'm used to us doing it for an hour, but you know what? We could keep it. We could keep it going. I don't mind.
At least
Yep.
for another 20 minutes. How about that?
Yeah,
At
I'm
least for
fine
another
with
20.
that. I'm fine with that. I'm 100% fine with that. Lou, if you are listening, I sent that link to you or DM, so hopefully you can stop by and give your thoughts, man. We're gonna keep this one going, y'all. So if y'all haven't already, hit that subscribe button. I put the links in the chat, not just for Big Blue Corner and GOS and myself, but for Coach Dante and Super Taj. They make great content over there, so y'all go check them out. You won't be disappointed at all. Coach, while we have you here, man, I really want to ask you,
Yep.
who y'all got winning the division, man? I don't believe in the Titans. If we're being fair, um, I know they just released Julio Jones, um, but I'm gonna be honest with you. If Indy can't land Jimmy G, I think y'all may have a shot for what it is. If not to win it, maybe get into second place in that division.
I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna go with the Titans until further notice. Not trusting the Jaguars yet. Colts don't have a quarterback right now. I got to see who the quarterback is, and it's Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo is a game managing quarterback, and the Colts don't have the receivers. They don't have the receiver. They don't have the receivers over there. But Michael Pittman Jr. They got Jonathan Taylor, but you got to figure teams are gonna figure him out. They're gonna stack the box. They're gonna make Jimmy G try to make some big plays, which is he could not do in San Francisco when his team needed him most. You saw the interception against the Rams. You saw the interception against Dallas, where the defense had bailed him out pretty much. Saw the game against Green Bay where the defense bailed him out pretty much, and the special team showed up. So again, I'm gonna have to go with the Tennessee Titans until further notice, man. I know they released Julio Jones, but they still got AJ Brown over there and a healthy Derrick Henry. So I still think I think we still gonna be at least in third place because I don't trust the Jaguars. It just depends on the moves that we're gonna make, man. But I definitely feel my chances coming in second place with the Colts. Just because I don't know what the Colts are gonna have, and I think the Colts are gonna have a major drop off this year. I think teams are gonna start figuring out Jonathan Taylor soon. But I think you're right. I think we can get in second place, but I'm still rather to take the Tennessee Titans because I know who they are. I can trust Derrick Henry. Probably can't trust Dan Ryan Tannehill too much, but with Derrick Henry in that lineup, Tannehill will be a different quarterback. You won't have to rely on him too much to throw the football and have many opportunities. So again, I'm gonna take the Tennessee Titans to further notice until somebody beat them.
I like that. I think you definitely made some good points there, man. I mean, and look, don't get me wrong. I like the Titans. Henry is a beast. Even when Henry was down, I think it's Deontay Foreman. That's their second running back.
Yeah,
Um,
he
stop.
left though.
He's
By the way,
solid.
he did
Oh, he
leave.
left.
Yeah, he left. I
Ah,
think he went to the Panthers.
I'm shit. Even if McCaffrey's not on that team, I like that signing for them, man.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, he came in and it seemed like their running game didn't miss a beat. If I'm being real with you, um, Mark has a good question here. He says, "Where does Watson go? Where do you think he
He's
goes, man?"
he's leaning towards the Saints. I think he's gonna lean towards the Saints. But I can tell you this much that you will know a decision by tonight or tomorrow, early tomorrow, where he's gonna end up at. It's got to be out of the Saints and Falcons. I think receivers like Allen Robinson, Jarvis Landry, Leonard Fournette are waiting on Watson decision. I think they're waiting on a decision.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Where's Jarvis Landry? Where did he sign?
No, he haven't signed anywhere. He's
He's
discussing talks with the Falcons. He's meeting with the Falcons though. He's visiting the Falcons though.
I would say honestly, and the only reason why I say this is because of what just transpired today. Michael Thomas signed with Washington for I think it was a second and a fifth round pick.
Michael Thomas in Washington. I didn't get no update on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Michael Washington, I think it popped up on my Twitter. He signed with Washington. They traded for him.
Okay.
If he's I don't know about the Saints now because if you're losing a receiver like Michael Thomas, I mean, who are you going to really throw to out there? Alvin Kamara is kind of like up in the air because you don't know what the deal is with his situation. I'll be honest with you. if there is one place that I could see Watson going, is Cleveland, because
Me
as of
too.
right now, they have a team that is ready to win. Now, granted, the offensive line didn't play all that well. They did have a few injuries towards the end of the year, but if the offensive line could get healthy and you still have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, you got Amari Cooper and was it Donovan Peoples Jones? I think they just re-signed Njoku. I think they put the franchise tag
Yeah,
on
they put the
Njoku.
franchise tag on them.
I mean, that's a no-brainer, man. That's a team that's one player away. That's the definition
Yeah.
of one player away.
Like I would love him to go to Cleveland because we get two. That means we get two picks in the top 10. So I would love for that definitely to happen. But the reason why I say he's leaning towards the Saints because again, think about it. Allen Robinson has not went nowhere yet, and Allen Robinson, we all know, probably could have been off the board. Leonard Fournette is still on the board. So far, Jarvis Landry is still on the board. Watson might be having conversations with somebody to join a certain destination. That's why I think if Watson decision will be important for some of these people like Allen Robinson and Leonard Fournette or Jarvis Landry to make a decision. Don't forget Will Fuller is out there, and Will Fuller and Watson is buddies, and Watson made Will Fuller right there. He made Will Fuller on the spot. That's the reason why Will Fuller left Houston. And after Deshaun Watson left Houston, Will Fuller is not the same player without Deshaun Watson. So that's why I think his impact is going to make all like the Allen Robinsons and all the other dominoes fall if his decision. But I would not be mad if he end up in Cleveland. I would love that. I would love to get that top. I would love to get that top 6 pick or that top 7 pick. I would love that, to be honest with
I hear you.
you.
Shit, no, I agree with you, man. And I think that Watson, for some reason, I think it's either going to be Atlanta or I think it's
Yep.
going to be Cleveland, to be honest with you. And honestly, I think it makes a lot of sense for him to go to Atlanta. Atlanta. He'd be going back home. I know that, Arthur Smith, a lot of people in the league believe that he's a QB guru. I like what he did with Ryan Tannehill when he got his hands on him. I just wonder what they're going to do about the wide receiver position because I like Jarvis Landry. I liked him over there with Cleveland too, but I'm not going to act like he's a number one. I think he's a nice number 2. So then where do they get the number 1 from? Do they look in the drafts? But then you don't have a first round pick at that point. You might not even have a second round pick. So it's like I don't know. I'm not too sure, what they would do in terms of the wide receiver position. I know that they have
and that's why
Pitts.
that's why I say his squad that Allen Robinson might come into play when that decision happens right there, because I think they're having discussions of them two ball and playing together. So I definitely agree with you. I would love Atlanta too. They got a top 10 pick. They pick number 8, I believe, or 9.
Yeah.
So I would love that too. Anybody, Cleveland or them, I would love him to go to any one of them. I would love him to go to either one of them because I would love to pick.
Shoot, you might prefer, Carolina, picking him up because they got the 6th pick.
Yeah, they might not be going to Carolina. Hey, Jaden's got a question for GOS.
Says GOS, who can the Giants target at tight end in the draft that will be there? Be where exactly? Like in the 2nd round, 3rd? Like what you thinking, Jaden?
Well, I love Charlie Kohler. 2nd round, you probably got better options in the 3rd. 2nd round, there's not too many guys you'd want there. Maybe Weidermeyer, if you can live with his lack of run blocking. Maybe Weidermeyer would be a guy. There is all kinds of late options though. Charlie Kohler, I love even late guys like Jelani Woods, somebody like that. He's a little bit of a project, but man, yeah. Just there's so many. Pull up a list of them, and I'll take any one of them. To be honest with you, really, there's none that I dislike. Trey McBride, another guy who's good in that short intermediate part of the field. Maybe he gives you a little bit better blocking than somebody like Weidermeyer. Tons of guys to check out though.
Now, do you think they get one tight end, or do you think that for the panel, do they get one tight end or they get 2?
I think 2. I think if they don't get one in free agency, I think it's definitely 2. But they may just get 2 even if they do attack in free agency and get themselves a tight end. Because we only have Chris Myrick right now. So it's
Yep.
and do with that what you will. I'm not entirely sold on the kid. So I'd love to attack the tight end position. I wanted Mo Alley Cox, but he re-signed with the Colts. Hooper is now on the market, but I don't think we have the money for him
No.
at all. To be honest, I think it's going to cost too much.
Hooper. Who's the guy?
Yeah.
What team was he on?
He was on the Cleveland Browns, Austin Hooper.
I
He was in
think
Atlanta
that's the
before
guy.
that.
I think that's the guy that was supposed to be a post-June cut, but I'm not entirely certain. When I find that out, I'll send it to you in a DM there, Hit Squad.
Yeah, for sure, no problem.
Jake Ferguson and Jeremy Rucker is two other ones that keep an eye on in the third right there.
I like Jeremy Rucker, to be honest with you.
I would go with Trey McBride and of course, Charlie Kolar. I mean, that kid right there, he's gonna. I got a feeling he's gonna be a beast in this league.
That dude is
He's Jimmy Graham.
He's got
Jimmy Graham,
amazing
man.
hands.
Jimmy Graham 2.0.
He has got
Best
amazing
hands
hands.
to the draft.
He is not afraid to go up and get it, and you can trust that he's going to catch it. That's how that kid is. I've seen him play. I was watched his tape. I mean, I think it's probably the way I'm thinking. You get up to you pick two. You get a blocking tight end who can catch, and you get a receiving tight end.
Yep.
Jeremy Rucker or Trey McBride, well, whoever the best blocking tight end is. I think that's Jeremy Rucker. And if you could get Charlie Kolar later on, might as well.
That would be nice.
Two big tight ends, man.
Yep.
Kohler can block too. Don't sleep on his run blocking. He's top three in this.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, I know
Yeah.
he can block, but I
He's
want
not-
it for his catching ability.
The guy in
It's
Pitt too,
amazing.
Kroll, the tight end from Pitt. He's pretty much been a run blocker, but somebody a late round option. His last name's Kroll. I can't remember his name's Lance or something. Lance Kroll, I think. Check him out. He made some clutch plays. He moves faster. Like he's a big guy, like 6'6", 255. But he moves faster than you'd think. And he's got nice hands. Him and Pickett. He was a really nice security blanket for Kenny Pickett over there in Pitt. That'd be an awesome 6th round, something like that. Grab him just to polish off the position. So somebody else to check out.
All right,
Yeah,
Mark the
definitely.
Blue Giants got another one.
Yep, I see here. And Coach Eddie, I appreciate you stopping by, man. G's up,
Appreciate it.
peace and blessings, man. Thank you for stopping by. Mark the Blue Giant says, what about edge? Let's say we go offensive tackle or corner in the first. What about edge in the second? Who do you guys like? Ooh, that's a good question, man.
Boye Mafe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Boy, my
Yeah.
bad.
You talking about the linebacker from Minnesota?
Yeah, the edge rusher.
Yeah.
Edge rusher
Yeah,
at
he was
Minnesota,
pretty good at the Senior Bowl. He was very good at the Senior Bowl.
He could go in the first. My Jay Sanders is another guy that I love. They're my two favorites right there in the front end of the second.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Okay, he says, what about Sauce at 7? Can I ask you something, Coach? I mean,
Yeah.
is Sauce what people make him out to be? To be honest with you, I know that Easy 3 earlier had said, he doesn't think that Sauce may be who he makes him out to be. That fans make him out to be. I mean, who would you have as your number one corner in this draft?
Man, like I say again, I'm high on Sauce Gardner, man. I love me some Sauce Gardner, man. Like I say, I don't think the dude is overhyped. I mean, they probably saying he's overhyped because he played in the American Conference and he hasn't given up a touchdown. So they will say he's overhyped. All right. He said he's overhyped because he played in that American Conference. But I don't think the guy's overhyped. I really don't think so. I think he's a good coverage corner. I don't care who you're playing against, whether it's in college or anything. If you give up no touchdowns against give up no touchdown. Even against Alabama, he didn't get target much. And when passes were thrown his way, no balls wasn't caught on his side. So like I said again, he played a good Houston U of H team. They were pretty good. That's a team that beat LSU, that beat Auburn. That was a powerhouse school. They weren't a powerhouse school, but they're a tier 5 type school. They're in a Power 5 conference. So again, I believe so.
Damn.
Oh,
Why people
We lost
say that?
Coach.
You know why people say that his squad? Because he's not that quick, twitchy kind of cornerback. You know, but what he is he's long, got them long ass arms. He's tough. He'll come down the line and he will compete off the line with the receivers. And maybe he's not the best cornerback to stick in a man coverage scheme. That's like, oh, they run 80% man. Maybe that's not would be. You'd probably have to use him special in that. Like if you'd have everybody in off coverage, you might want to have Sauce down on the line pushing. So that's where he's getting that DeAndre Baker stuff. Like, but you're talking about two different prospects that are a complete different end of the spectrum. There is a whole different league. DeAndre Baker wasn't half the athlete, half the competitive, tough kid. Mentally, it's not even close. I mean, Sauce the kind of guy that wants to mess you up, man. He wants to make you look silly. He wants to humiliate you. So, I mean, I get what he's saying with the DeAndre Baker because he's that guy that you want down pressing too. But I mean, you're just talking about Jalen Ramsey compared to Darnay Holmes here. I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to say he's silly for having that take. I understand how he came to that conclusion, but it's just like this dude is Richard Sherman. If you put him in a cover 3 or a cover 2, like Bucks, like they run down on the pressing, he could be a shutdown island corner, but obviously he needs to progress and get better at shadowing and all that stuff in man coverage. You can't use him in the slot. He's exclusively an outside corner. That's also another little restriction from him.
I agree. Yeah. What's going on, King Tone? Thanks for stopping by, man. This is a good point here that Coach Ed makes. He says, concerned with Sanders didn't weigh in at 228 during the combine.
All reports are he bulked up. That's what the reports were. But he actually gained like 15, 20 pounds or something. But yeah, he is a smaller frame guy. He's going to have to put on more weight. That's definitely something. But listen, there's little things like that you can do on every prospect. You can pick them all apart if you want. At the end of the day, it's all just a flip of a coin. You got to watch the tape, and you have to trust that your coaching staff can get them to where you want them. Anybody can bust, man. It's the NFL.
It's very true. Absolutely.
It's all a gamble.
Ooh, I can't believe I missed this. D-Mac has a good question. He says, what about wide receiver? If we take one, who do you think?
Garrett Wilson.
But you're only going to get him in the first.
Yeah.
I like Jameson Williams, but he's hurt. It's be a huge reach to take Williams because he's hurt, but I like Jameson Williams.
I like Jahan Dotson.
Yeah, I like Jahan Dotson too.
I think that Wilson is nice too, but I don't see
anybody but Treylon Burks.
Can we talk about that real quick? Because I am not sold on Treylon Burks at all.
Well, I know why, because Kenny Galladay's on your team. You understand what his ceiling is.
Nah, man. I'm not sold on him. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've seen him mock to the Eagles, and if the Eagles pick him up, good. Because I don't like him as a prospect too much. And I just don't understand the hype behind him. I just got to be honest with you. D-Mac says, I like Wilson too.
If he gets to the right situation, right quarterback, I could see where. Because you can run that back shoulder stuff. The thing is, nobody teams run that stuff anymore. And that's what you need to run with him like that. Like something like that.
Yeah, no, true. King Tone says, I want O-line and D-line and linebacker first 3
Me
picks.
too. Yep. King Tone, me and you are in the same. I want Travis Jones in the second round, and I want like Chad Muma in the third. Something like that.
Man, that would be really nice, man.
I'm thinking this. O-line, Iquanu. If we can get maybe the edge rusher, Thibodeau, okay. If not, then I would not mind Sauce Gardner, but I will say this. That third round, let me backtrack. I would hope that we're able to get a trade partner so we can pick up an extra second round pick because we're able to address all those needs right there. O-line, D-line, and a linebacker, and possibly a cornerback in between the first and second round, or pick up a Jahan Dotson in the second. But I don't think I can. If I can't get Thibodeau and I can get Sauce Gardner, I'm going for Christian Harris, that linebacker, for my second round pick.
That would be nice. That would be really nice, man. Shit.
He played a lot better down the stretch of the season, but he did have a rough start. But he did look a lot better.
Yeah. Nah, I agree, man. Crazy D, thanks for stopping by. He said Wilson all day. Hey, man, I agree with you, dog. Jaden says I want edge, offensive tackle, and linebacker. Me too, Jaden. To be honest, look, I'm not gonna be upset if we pick up a corner. I feel like as the weeks go by and as we get closer to the draft, that just seems more. I just feel like it's gonna happen. I'm just putting it out there. For some reason, I see us taking a corner at the seventh. If not, if we trade back maybe to 10, or 9. I don't know. I really don't want a corner in the first round, but I could absolutely see it happening, man. Jaden says, "What if we took a wide receiver in the first? I could see it if we trade back to the teams." Um, I don't think a lot of people would be happy if we did, to be honest with you. Um, but what if they view that there's a wide receiver in this draft that can be their Stephon Diggs?
As long as it hits, I'm okay with it. I can live with it if it hits, but you got to understand that you're missing out on a bigger need that has higher value for the
Exactly,
team. Yeah.
exactly. And I agree with you, man. And that's what I'm saying. I would be shocked actually if we did take one in the first, but again, I'm with GOS on this one. I mean, if the player hits, regardless of the position, if the player hits, I'm not gonna complain. I may not understand it at first, but if the player hits, I'm not gonna complain. That's really what we need right now.
If you can get the right players in the other positions that you skipped out on later in the draft, then you can live with it. I think
Yep.
you're going to look back on a top 15 receiver, top 10 receiver, and go, yeah, but we, drafted him at the 15th. Jesus.
Yep.
Which, a
I
lot of
agree.
people do that kind of stuff, but if it
Yep.
hits, no one's going to do that.
Exactly, man. And coach, I mean, this is 100% where I'm at, man. He says if it isn't a top level quarterback, I'm for us big fatties. Trench
Yep.
warfare is where it's won and the pretty boys can shine.
There
I
you
Yep.
agree
go.
with you, coach.
You could always
We got
trade
to
for a top
address it.
level.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's where the league is going right now. I
Well, because it's a
mean,
guaranteed thing. You know what you're getting, right? It's not you have to develop
exactly.
this guy. Yeah, you know what you're getting when you trade for one of these guys.
Exactly, man. And that's where it's like, I feel like we and I'm gonna keep saying this, have to address this offensive line. We got to address this defensive line. Um, but for me, man, I mean, you cannot pass up an opportunity to fix this offensive line. I like the
We need
additions
a
that we've
safety too.
made.
I
That
almost
too,
forgot.
yeah,
We need to grab a safety in this draft too. Somebody later, like O'Neal or something, Texas A&M.
that would
Yeah,
be
we need to
nice.
somebody who's good against the run. You know what I mean? Filling that
Yeah,
Jabril Peppers role.
yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing too. It's like, you know, I really like Julian Love. I like to see him, on this team going forward. But when
Yep.
you look at the secondary, man, I mean, there are going to be some pieces that we're going to need to add, and I do think that the safety position is one, especially if Peppers walks, which I at this point already see it happening. I think he could go to the Eagles. To be honest with you, um,
Well, good. Our new tight ends will eat then.
exactly. I mean, and that's what really at this point, man. I mean, I know that there's been people, at least not of recent, but I have seen people, saying that they wanted us to get Kyle Hamilton. If we were to trade, that 7, maybe the 9, or even to 8. I've seen him in certain mocks picked up with the 5th pick, which is insane to me.
You
I
want to know
mean,
why
I'm
everybody
just be
stopped with
honest with
that
you.
hit squad? He tested
Why? What's
horrible
good?
at the combine.
Jesus, man.
His 3 cone was horrid. Everybody instantly dropped that. Like Kyle Hamilton probably even going to go in the top 10 now after that combine because there's always an
Yep.
overreaction to it. But I still like Kyle Hamilton. I still think he could be a weapon. Man, if you could trade back a little bit from 7 and still get him and grab like an extra elite first or second round pick, I would not complain a bit. Let people bitch and moan all they want. I'll be on my channel making glowing videos about it.
Hey, yeah, I agree with you, man. And people are gonna bitch regardless. That's the thing that people have to understand. We could draft the next Hall of Fame player for the New York Giants, and people are gonna bitch somehow, some way about it. It should have been this player. We've missed on this player. Fire this
Same
guy.
old
Fire that
Giants.
guy. Exactly. And it's like you're not gonna make everyone happy. But for me, I am more of okay. I may not understand, the pick at first, but let me give this player a chance. You know,
Exactly.
and
Fact.
not to the same degree, but I had that most recently with Aaron Robinson. Again, not to the same degree, but for me, I didn't want a corner. I wanted us to pick up an offensive guard, and we traded up to get Aaron Robinson. I did not like it at first. I didn't understand it. But then I'm seeing this kid play, and him kind of getting thrown into the fire. And now my mind's changed on it, where it's like, okay, we
He
got
was a
ourselves
top
a nice
40
player.
prospect last year. Hit squad.
Yeah,
He
we
was a
got him.
consensus
Got him at a
top
steal.
40. Consensus top 40. There was people that had him mocked to go to the end of the first round.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, every year you have them players that drop for one reason or another. I don't know. Maybe he's
Yeah.
got an uncle that's a drug dealer. Who knows what the reason
Oh,
I mean,
is?
same with Ojolari. Ojolari dropped. McKinney dropped.
Well, he got
It
red flagged.
happens.
He got his medical stuff got red flags, like a
From
degenerative
high
knee or something.
school. From high
Yeah,
school.
in high
too.
school injury. Yeah, it's all it takes.
But-
Who was the one player like he had a heart had something to do with his heart? They flagged him as like possible.
that was
Joe
the guy,
Tryon?
Trey Smith out of Ohio State, I believe.
Yeah, that
Was it
happens.
Trey Smith?
I think it was whoever. He's on the Kansas City Chiefs. He's an offensive guard. I think he's a guard. I believe it's Trey Smith. They flagged him because of a heart issue. I'm pretty sure it's Trey Smith, and he went to Kansas City and he's balling out there. And
then come to find out, there's nothing wrong with his heart.
Exactly. That's why
he probably
I was so heated.
He probably had an
Well, he
inflamed
did
heart
not.
from COVID or something, and they flagged
Yeah.
him.
Who knows? Who knows? But
Very
I was like,
possible.
why didn't we address the O-line last year? And this kid is balling out, and we could have got him in the 6th round. Come on.
Yeah.
You know?
Benny, what is going on? I appreciate you stopping by, man.
Listen.
Thank you so much.
You should take an O lineman every draft, whether it's a strength on your team or not. O lineman, defensive line, somebody getting after the
Facts.
quarterback, somebody to protect the quarterback. Every year, designate. I don't even care if it's your 6th and 7th pick, but every year, designate 2 spots to them 2 positions, and that is the way every team should operate.
You're right about
I
that.
agree.
I
mean, the
agree
best
100%.
teams do it. Not for nothing. You look at the Dallas Cowboys. They know that they have a stout offensive line, but what? They still every year make sure to go get themselves offensive linemen, and it works out. They have no
They're
issues
screwed now.
releasing Lyle Collins, and they believe that their next man up would be solid for them. And I think I got to get his name real quick, but he did play well for them last year. Actually,
At times, he was also had some bad games too. I know who you're talking about.
But I just feel that that's something that the Giants have to do. Keep drafting offensive linemen, because you don't know if that offensive lineman is not only going to be good, right? But you don't know if that player is going to get injured, right? And then it's a next man up mentality. And when you look at how bad our offensive line has been, and granted, look, I know that Gettleman tried, whether it was a piss poor effort. I know that he tried to address the offensive line, but I don't think that he went about it the right way, to be honest with you. And I just think that
the coaching staff didn't help it either. I mean, he got a turnstile for offensive line coach, and we didn't give any of these kids a chance to develop properly. The freaking Joe Judge is swapping people in and out, no stability. Like, he's just so silly to not that first year they drafted Peyton and all them. Just throw them in there and let them play. That's the only way they're going to improve. You can only learn so much from the sideline. If you're getting no playing time, you don't understand how everything correlates with each other. You can't just look at a picture.
You're right, GOS. And I was saying, like, okay, when everybody was saying, okay, well, put Matt Pert in, he can't be any worse than Nate Solder. Well, couldn't find out.
He was better.
He was somewhat better. He wasn't good, but he was somewhat better. But the thing about
look how quick they got him out of left tackle.
And he was actually pretty good at left tackle.
Yes, that's his natural position.
He held it down while Andrew Thomas was getting better from an injury. Yeah. My thing is, you're absolutely right. Put him out there. Get these kids some playing time. Let them do. I mean, the only way that they're going to get better, throw them in the fire. Let them learn. At some way, somehow, they're going to figure it out. They got to figure it out. And if they don't,
or they're not, and they're gone.
Exactly. But come on now. And I wish that he would have given that kid Isaiah Wilson a chance, just so we can see what the kid could do.
Yeah.
I just throw him out there. Let him see what he can do. He's played the position before. Let's just see. we'll make our
He needed
decision
to stay
today.
in school. He needed to stay in school another year. That was his whole problem. He
I
screwed
agree with
everything
you,
up.
Yeah.
man. I agree with you, man. I really thought that he should have went back to school for at least one more
Yep.
year.
He wasn't ready yet. He was way too raw.
Yep.
And look at it now, man. I mean, I think it's really
And that's
affected his career.
listen, and that's another thing with these offensive linemen. When I was a kid growing up, these were full grown men coming in. They were 24, 25. You're drafting these kids 20 years old now. I mean, for where they used to come out, they have to play 2, 3
Yep.
years before they even get to where players used to just come out and starting to get a chance. And back then, you never really seen rookies start. They always had to sit. By the time they're out there, you're talking they're 27, 28 years old. These kids are getting thrown in the fire 20 years old now. If they had a bad year, the fans are just throw them away. No good. They're freaking garbage. Done.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. Every player develops in different ways and different. It's just different. You can't just be like that. You can't just throw these guys away like they're used laundry or something.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like nowadays, I mean, that goes with a lot of different positions. People lack the patience, for these players to develop. And
Takes time. These
it
guys need
does.
time to play next to each other. When our offensive line was good in the early 2000s, they weren't. There was one Pro Bowler on a team, Chris Snee, but they had played together for 4 or 5 years. They knew when a twist was coming. This is what this player was going to do. That was what this player was going to do. They just knew. They knew how to work with each other. You don't need Pro Bowlers. You need time. You need time to gel together more than anything.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. DMAC Warrior says, how many yards does Saquon go for if we get Iquanu? I don't know if I got an exact number,
He's going over 1,000.
but yeah, I mean, because I'm one of the few fans that believe that this kid is gonna have a bounce back year this year. I'm telling you, I can't give you facts outside of usually for players that go through the injury that he went through. It takes usually 2 years for them to fully bounce back. And I know that he was running scared sometimes last year, but can you really blame him behind this offensive line? Because I would be
That was
fucking
a freak
terrified if
injury
I got it.
too. That injury he had at
Exactly.
Dallas was a complete freak injury, and it was so unfair the way people treated him over it.
I agree,
I've
man.
never
It's
seen
like
an injury like that in my life. Have you?
never,
The
ever.
way that happened?
I mean, when I think of a freak injury, man, I really think of that Dallas game, man. I mean, how does that happen?
It's like a
To me,
basketball injury.
exactly. I mean, on someone's cleat. Like, come on, man. And I'm just look. I think you get this kid a solid offensive line, or just even an average offensive line, because we haven't smelt average in quite some time. But if you could get this kid an average offensive line, we saw what he did with the piss poor offensive line. I'm telling you, man. I think this kid is gonna bounce back this year.
Kwanu and Glowinski next to each other is one of the top 5 best run blocking right tackle, right guard combinations in the NFL. And if you get a nice run blocking tight end to slide next to Kwanu, watch out.
Fucking Christ,
Oh
That
man.
zone
man,
stuff
come
on the
on.
right side is nasty.
GOS, you're getting me excited right now
No,
for waiting to
when we
see.
started signing these offensive
Telling you.
linemen, I was getting excited.
Yeah, man. It just feels like a breath of fresh air that we're doing things the right way and we're getting ourselves quality players, in my opinion. I know some people don't want to get too hyped about these signings, and I get that, but it's just to me a big improvement of what we've had in recent years at the guard position or even at center.
I
Yeah.
mean, you got to take into consideration this. Look at what Gettleman did in free agency last year compared to what Joe Shane did in free agency this year.
Yep.
They tackled the most important position or positions that we needed to address. Last year, what did we do? We picked up Kenny Galladay, okay? Because they felt that we needed another weapon on the team. And rightfully so, we probably did, but because we didn't know how the season was going to turn out. But we were all upset and saying, well, why didn't they address the offensive line in free agency? We went to the draft, said the same thing. Why didn't they address the offensive line? Gettleman came out and said, he questioned whether or not when the reporters asked him, okay, well, do you have a concern about the offensive line? He was like, well, do you? Right
Yep.
then and there, the proof was right then and there what we needed to see. And the proof is right where we needed to where we need to see it now with what Joe Shane did right out the gate. 1, 2, 3 offensive linemen. Right then and there, they're telling me you're heading in the right direction. You're addressing the most glaring need.
Well,
Let's get it going.
I felt good about the offensive line last year. I wanted a guard because I wanted Will Hernandez to come off the bench as a depth player. That was because he's making this move to the right side. We haven't seen no progression from him since his rookie year,
It's very true.
really any in his career. I actually felt good about it. I mean, who the hell could have thought the first 2 weeks you lose Shane Lemieux and Nick Gates for the season, and they're the only two guys on the offensive line and actually open up holes for the running game. Andrew Thomas is now next to Matt Skura, so what is he supposed to do? He's got nobody to work on to get any kind of leverage to open up running hole lanes like he was with Lemieux. So, I mean, yeah, it was, in hindsight, it's a mistake, but I actually felt really good about where we were. I mean, I thought we should have took a guard in the draft last year, or at least signed a better guard. I felt a little bit better, but you remember, even with them two guys, they retired right like a week before the season started. We're sitting there like with our dick in our hands going, well, now what do we do? Looney and what's his name? And they were decent options at the time.
And that's,
so I'm not trying to defend them, but I'm just saying that we were in a much better place with the 2 retirements and the 2 injuries right off the bat. Really stressed the team. And then the guys that we did bring in were thrown to the I didn't even know the playbook. They're out there playing,
Yeah. It's you got to imagine that this line is better than what we've seen, at least in, would you say recent years? Is that too dramatic? I mean, I would say recent years if I'm being real with you.
It's the best line I've been at. If we can get a tackle, it'll be the best line I've seen since our Super Bowl era.
Which, take it for what you will, man. Coach Ed says the old staff, I wondered bringing in many coaches from college as opposed to doing a better job of mixing college and pro coaching. It's a different mentality between the two. Yeah, I mean, I know that there was definitely questions among the Giants community last year where people were concerned with us bringing in all these college coaches and people that had ties with Joe Judge. But I mean, I think the way that we're doing things now, man, I mean, I really like it. Again, it feels like a breath of fresh air.
Well, coaching is coaching at the end of the day. And assistant coaches are going to go under the direction of their head coach, or they get shit canned like Colombo. Sometimes when you have a young team like ours, we have a lot of young guys. It's not such a bad thing to have them young guys, them young college coaches there because they know how to relate to them. They're used to it. So it's not always a bad thing as long as that coach themselves can adapt and keep the same vision as the head coach. I don't see where there's an issue with any kind of college or head coach.
You're right about that. I mean, it all comes down to what the coaches are doing and how they relate to the players. Rob Sale was supposed to be the quote unquote best offensive line coach that we could have brought in, and look what happened. Granted, we got what we could out of everybody that was there. I just think that for some reason, and I may be wrong, but it just wasn't. Nothing was relatable as far as him being able to get these guys coached up the way they were supposed to. There was some sort of break there. I don't know.
Well, it seems like he's just yelling at people, right? It seems like the whole coaching staff was just yelling at players and telling them, what they need to be, not working with who they are to get them where they need to be. And that's a problem.
Yeah. Tone says, I think if we get Ekwonu, he's going at left guard. I'd prefer to put him at right tackle, if I'm being honest.
I mean, well, here's the way I look at it with that. How good can he be as far as being a pass, being in pass protection? That's the question, because we know how he can be as far as being in the run game. The question is, how good can he be in the passing game? That's always going to be the question. If he's good in the run game, you put him next to Glowinski, that whole right side, as long as you got a good pulling guard on the left that can pull around, or even a center. I mean, come on now, we can tear up that whole right side all day, every day. So that's one aspect of it. That's one aspect, but how good can he be in the passing game? And that's always going to be a big question.
He's going to struggle.
Yeah, he might struggle starting off,
Yeah.
but given the time for those guys to gel, he might get better. I'm not expecting, big things as far as, him being a lockdown right tackle his first, rookie season. There's going to be, he's going to have issues.
Now,
But
if he had like Kevin Zeitler next to him, I'd feel a little bit better about him starting at right tackle
yeah,
because Zeitler will pick up some slack for his tackle. He's much better in that pass protecting. Glowinski is a run mauler. He's not going to give much help, unless it's designed for the right guard to slide over to the tackle and protect the inside. But yes, he definitely does overset. He's athletic enough, but it just seems like he doesn't trust it, if you know what I'm saying. So he does. He
yeah,
oversets. He's going to get beat up on the inside a lot. Now, listen, you're going to have to start to coach him different ways than he's used to and he's uncomfortable with. So you're going to see a lot of them struggles like we saw with Andrew Thomas. I almost guarantee it with Iquanu. But yes,
yeah.
obviously Iquanu at guard is a day one top 5 guard in the NFL most likely if you put him in there. It's a much better position. But here's the good part. If Iquanu, you can always try him out at tackle. If it don't work, you got your top 5 guard. So
Mhm.
it doesn't deter me at all from drafting him too early or whatever you might think. Now, if the Giants do want to go like a zone offense, I would have second thoughts about. Excuse me. They do zone offense. Iquanu's the right tackle. Now, if they're going to run like what we have been in the past here, a little bit that power run stuff. Yeah, I mean he's a guard. He's a guard in that offense, pure and simple. So
Gotcha.
scheme does matter with the aspect for Iquanu. But if you're talking about high level pass protection, I'm looking at him like a second year starter. He's going to struggle. He's going to have to rework his punch, all that stuff. He tries to kill everybody, and he overleans and he just throws the top half of his body forward. Advanced pass rushers are going to have a whole lot of fun destroying him on pass sets. So
Facts. Yep.
it is what it is. These guys you just got to throw them in, and you got to live with the boo boos, man. It's the only way they're going to learn.
Yeah, you're
But
right
I think
about
the
that.
upside is so worth it, man. I mean,
Oh
I
yeah,
think that
yeah.
if your 2 tackles are Iquanu and Andrew Thomas, you're good. You are set, and I think those are building pieces for this offensive line. And I mean, if we could get
Absolutely.
ourselves a Zion Johnson, forget about it. Forget about it. If we could get a Zion Johnson, man.
Now,
Well, if you're taking
and
Iquanu for tackle, I think you're out on Zion Johnson
yeah,
because he cannot run that zone stuff. So if you're taking Iquanu for right tackle, Zion Johnson is off the board. So that is
I gotta
one
agree.
that's one downside to that right there. You're starting to look for completely different kinds of players. You're looking for them smaller, faster, more athletic guys. Where Zion is that big, strong, beat you up, bully you guy.
Mhm.
He can do it in the pass
And
rushing, but he's not going to give you what you need in the run game.
and that's my concern right there is because of who we can possibly go after because Evan Neal has his issues in pass protection. He gives up a lot of ground. He needs a lot of work with his feet.
He's got feet.
But
Yeah,
then,
that's what it all boils down to. His feet.
yeah. But then you got Cross there, and arguably, a lot of people say that he is the best tackle as far as pass protecting tackle in the draft, and that's over Neal. He is the
Well, that's because of his
best.
athleticism.
You're exactly right. So
Yeah,
the dilemma is, what is the scheme going to be, and what players are we going to need to bring in to be able to fit that scheme going forward? Is it Iquanu? Will they pass on Iquanu to go to like a Charles Cross or whatever the case may be? It's like one of those things. Is like it's hit or miss, and it's all based off of what that scheme is going to be. You know, where would they line him up? If you get Aquano, is he better at the guard position or the tackle position? If you skip on him and you go to Cross, well, Cross is a tackle. Well, who are you going to pick up at left guard? I mean, at right guard. Or I'm sorry, yeah, maybe left guard. Glowinski plays what,
yeah,
right
left
guard or
guard.
left?
Yeah, right guard. Right guard.
He
Okay,
plays both, but I'm
so
pretty sure he's going to be a right guard. That's what he's been playing.
I
so
think it
my
would be
thing is,
best for him too.
well, if they go that route, look, we can pretty much say that more than likely Zion Johnson is going to be probably going in a late first, if not very early second. If we can even touch him at 36, there's a good chance that kid will go in the later of the first round. So what do you do at that point? If you go with Equanu, you're more than likely going to lose out on Zion Johnson unless you get a trade back. You're going to have to try to hit that up later on in the draft at some point. Who they feel, whatever player is going to be able to match up to whatever scheme they want to run.
Yeah. Now, if you take Neal, then you can go along and take Zion Johnson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think
Exactly.
either way you'd be set.
Either way, you're good. You're just going to have a different kind of an eye for the other guys you bring in. That's all. That's it.
But you're
Now,
still
the
getting
left side of the line is kind of built for that gap stuff, and the right side right now with Glowinski there is kind of built for the zone. If they bring in somebody like Equanu, it's making me think: are they really going to like run gap to the left and zone stuff to the right? That would be interesting. Because I'm kind of thrown off by
Yep.
some of these signings.
Nah,
Oh
I
yeah.
agree with you there.
Oh yeah.
Coach Ed says, I hope we can get Akeem, Zion, and or Linderbaum. Add this to what has been brought in, and you can you can build for the future. Yeah,
If
I agree with you, man.
you take Equanu, Linderbaum might be the move at 7.
I
I mean,
wouldn't mind that at all.
you just completed you can run zone day 1 with Saquon with them 2 on the
Well,
line.
is that a reach? I mean,
Yeah, that's probably
they say.
a good player is a good player.
I mean, we could get a center later on. Now, is it a huge drop off because Zion Johnson can't play center? So technically speaking, he got Linderbaum and or Zion Johnson. After that, it is a big drop off. You got Alec Lindstrom, I believe Cameron Jurgensen. There's a couple other guys,
Lindstrom's
but
like a
it's
6th
a
rounder.
huge drop off.
Yeah, Lindstrom's
I've
going to go in
seen
like
mocks.
6th round, 7th round.
I've seen mocks where that kid goes 4th round.
I guess it's possible. He's got a lot. He's got to bulk up, man. All the technical stuff is there. Like he's really smart with that shit. But if he don't put on 20 pounds, man, and get a lot stronger, he's just not gonna. He's gonna get. Leonard Williams would kill that. He'd eat that man for a snack, man, all game long.
I mean, you're not lying, man. Like, oh my god. Nah, man, this has been a great stream, man. And
Oh yeah.
we got a lot of great people in the chat. I appreciate everyone stopping by. Mark, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Jaden, I agree with you. He says Aquanu would make this offensive line good, and he put an exclamation on good, or excuse me, emphasis. I apologize. Yeah, I agree with you, Jaden. I think Aquanu with the pieces we've had, and if we could get ourselves a Linderbaum. Whether that's in a trade back or if they decide to take him at 7, which may be a reach. I think you single-handedly just fixed your offensive line at that point. I mean, I think that really you would be cooking. And I think that we could not only see what Daniel Jones can really do, but you're making the same argument for Saquon as well, in my opinion. So, I mean, I'm excited. I mean, and that's the thing. We're going to be heading towards the draft very soon. It's coming up. I'm really excited. I'm gonna have content out, Giant Opinion, Big Blue Corner. We're gonna be talking about it too. We're obviously gonna be talking about it here on the Big Blue Topic, man. But look, we just hit the 3-hour mark. This has been the
Nice.
single longest episode for the Big Blue Topic. We usually go for about an hour. But this has been great, y'all. I appreciate every single one that stopped by. We are gonna close this out here, but we got Big Blue Corner. You can find his information in the description. You can subscribe to him there as well as in the chat. Same with Giant Opinion Sports. You guys make this a hell of a good time. I really appreciate you guys stopping by. Are there any final comments you guys got for the people, man?
Yeah, I got in 2 weeks, if everything goes the way I is, I will start to put out my own content.
Let's
And
go.
I got a couple ideas. Definitely gonna get you Hit Squad and get you GOS involved in that and then progress with that. But let's say about 1 or 2 weeks, I'm gonna start putting out some content.
I'm excited as hell, man. And y'all should be excited too. Again, you guys can find their stuff in the description. And we all look forward to seeing the content that you put out, Big Blue Corner. GOS, you got any final thoughts?
Hey, man, work hard, party harder. There you go.
There you
There you
go.
go.
I couldn't have said it best, man. But again, thank you guys for coming out to the 5th episode of the Big Blue Corner. I can't wait for the next one. We're going to be talking about hopefully some more news with the New York Giants. But until then, we'll see you guys on the next episode.